Nice. Take. Okay then. I'm gonna try to get you the penta honestly. You never know. You can't die with this. Some good dog.
You go. I mean, I have flash. Second.
Oh my god!
Teleports on the side of CCW. They might try to go for a pick here. Box Prime has to be careful. Doesn't know they're all there. This could be the pick they want, but you have to be careful as well, though. They're going to burst him down. Box Prime dies before anyone else can go in. They don't get the second call of the first time. And here we go. Here comes the Vlad. Keep an eye on the Vlad. Vlad on the back line. There's a double knockout. Keep an eye on the Vlad. Vlad gets one of them. Vlad's able to get two of them unbound. He's going to survive on the back end of it, but they're going to be able to kill the Anivia. And there's two dead on the side of CCW. Can they get more? There's the Vlad. Can they get the knock up on Asthmatic Boy? Can he get the blast kill? No, he can't. He's going to fall incredibly low. They're going to keep going in. Deep Shooter is going to be able to get the root. They're going to try to find more. They're going to find everyone. But there's the kill. Unbound. He's doing it all. Unbound is doing it all. Give it out. Unbound. Unbound's killing them all. Unbound is winning this game.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
They're definitely trying to get it, but I think we win this one, guys.
Nice.
Oh my god.
Get it!
You know where like the cleavage is, where like the boobs touch? Or supposed to touch?
No, I've never touched a woman.
Cat Everfrost used not gonna quite hit. There goes a 5-man shield there. Rax going to get caught up in the baby cage. That's gonna be a 3-man shockwave in the backline with a big face breaker. That's gonna be a showstopper right there. That's
Can't get slowed when he was in Pike A. That's decent. Nice. Take. Okay then. I'm gonna try to get you the penta honestly. You never know. You can't die with this. Some good dog.
You go. I mean, I have flash. Second.
Oh my god!
He teleports
They go for a
on the
pick
side of
one here.
CCW. They might try to go for a pick here. Box Prime has to be careful. Doesn't know they're all there. This
in
could be the
Mega.
pick they
He's
want,
in Mini.
but you have to be careful as well, though. They're gonna burst him down. Box Prime dies before anyone else can go in.
He
They
missed
don't
the
get the
call
second
of
call of the
Force
force guy. And here we go. Here comes the Vlad. Keep an eye on the Vlad. Vlad on the back line. There's the double knockout. Keep an eye on the Vlad. Vlad gets one of them. Vlad's able to get two of them unbound. He's gonna survive on the back end of it, but they're gonna be able to kill the Anivia. And there's two dead on the side of
Still
CCW.
going.
Can they get more? There's the Vlad. Can they get the knockup on Asthmatic Boy? Can he get the blast kill? No, he can't. He's gonna fall incredibly low. They're gonna keep going in. Team Shooter is gonna be able to get the root. They're gonna try to find more. They're gonna find everyone. But there's the kill.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's broadcast of the Risen Divine League, where we are coming at you with our quarterfinals. Matchup tonight is going to be the Miami University Redhawks taking on 1Life2Play for a shot at TA Vikings next week. My name is Gordo. I am joined tonight by Bonfire, and Bonfire, we are starting best of 5 season, baby. We are going to be staying up late for these games these next couple of weeks.
Yeah, the fall's coming around, leaves are falling. Obviously Halloween was just yesterday. Happy first day of November, and you know what that means? That means playoffs, and that means best of 5s. And I gotta say, after watching some of these World's best of 5s, I'm getting ready. I'm hoping for something just as exciting.
I am definitely in there as well. We have got a pretty tight matchup between these two teams. You look at the regular season, both teams ended up going 2-2. Miami with a little bit of a comeback story, started off 1-4 in their game record, losing their first 2 series, and then went on a tear, 4-0 in the back half of the season, following up with a bye in the last week to just sit on their laurels and wait for the playoffs to get started. So they've had an extra week to prepare, extra week to maybe watch some of these other teams go at it, and now going to be facing off against 1Life2Play here in our first matchup, with full rosters coming through from both teams as far as we know. Doesn't look to be any substitutions, so it's sure to be a fun series.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Both of these teams are very evenly matched. I think, a lot of people don't expect these two teams to make a run at it, but that's why you have quarterfinals. These best of 5s can really start to prepare these players, get their game plan set, and I think it also underrated. These are a lot of new teams. It gives players an opportunity to kind of get an idea of what a best of 5 feels like under their belt. Best of 3s, you're adapting, sure, but not as much as a best of 5, a lot of them ending in 2-0 sweeps. So with the best of 5, you really have an opportunity to look at draft in a whole different light. It almost feels like it's an entirely different game. It's a whole mental warfare. And so I think it gives both of these teams an opportunity to really get the ball rolling before they have to go into the powerhouse that is TAV.
Yeah, for sure. Our top teams in each group, we had a team go 4-0 in each group. Both teams looking real stacked, looking like favorites to take it down. So getting amped up here at the beginning of November to face off for your series next week, that's going to be absolutely massive if these teams want to try to make it upset. So Miami University and 1Life2Play both going to be looking to have a very strong showing here. Want to get into predictions a little bit before we get into our first draft of the night, Bonfire. You know what? We don't have a host tonight, so we're just going to start with you as my co-caster. Who do you think is going to be taking this, and what's your prediction for the series score?
Yeah, I think it's really difficult to accurately predict with these teams. I think both of them rely very heavily on momentum. You talked about having that streak at the very end of the season. And so I think that for both of these teams, it really depends on game 1 and 2 to kind of get them in a winnable position. I think if one of these teams go down 2-0, that can very much spell doom and gloom for them. So it's going to need to be an early start for both of these teams. I'm going to go 1Life2Play with a 3-1 victory. I think they lose the first game, but I've always felt that they're a very resilient team, and so I think they're going to be able to clutch this one out in 3-1 style.
Yeah, I have a little bit of a curse going on here, Bonfire.
Oh.
Every best of 5 series I cast, you know what? Some would say it's a blessing, some would say it's a curse. Almost all the best of 5 series I end up casting end up going to 5 games. It happens here, it happens over in Aegis. It used to happen back in the day with Focus Esports and some of the other leagues. I've cast 10 games in a weekend before, and I think something like that's going to happen to us here. So I've got to predict 5 games, one or the other. I'm going to end up going for 1Life2Play here. I think they've had a more consistent season. It's been a little bit up and down, so, I understand that means the opposite of consistent. But, outside, they've been able to challenge some of the top teams in their group. before making their way over here. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they're going to perform, and I'm going to take them in a 3-2 win. As we are getting into the draft here, Caitlyn, Trundle, and Lulu off the board on the blue side. Graves, Yumi so far on the red. The Anti-Yumi fan club, they're not here, but they are certainly going to be here in spirit as that one gets taken off the board once again.
Yeah, their ban makes its way over, along with the Master Yi, bit of an interesting ban right there, but the Yumi ban, I don't think there's any surprises there. An incredibly strong champion, highest win rate at Worlds right now with a 100% win rate, joint with Sivir is the only two champions over picked 5 times and a 100% win rate. So Yumi off the board, and the Syndra being picked up. I think both of us have a lot of strong opinions about this Sivir. You've compared her often to a Veigar type character almost with the new scaling, so I expect to see her played that way, and it'll be interesting to see how they prioritize other lanes, because they're gonna need pushing lanes if they are to win this match.
Yeah, really all about stacking up those splinters of wrath. We've gotten to see players get it scaled up all the way in the RDL over the last couple of weeks, and it's always super powerful. Once you get that AP boost, once you get that execute damage on your ultimate, the 2-letter thresholds that you can get towards, you start getting really strong. And, you know, even as you start getting some of the earlier upgrades, when you get that bonus damage on your W, when you get the second charge of your Q, you start to become, you know, stronger than the old Syndra was in a lot of ways. And while you don't quite have that early game harass, which really was her role in organized competitive for a long time, you make up for it in a lot of different areas. And the laning, not that bad, you know, up against the likes of a Ryze that Miami has just locked in here. I think that's super doable on new Syndra.
Yeah, Ryze, very late game. You talk about Ryze being really good as a split pusher. And I think this strategy from Miami University already, they're showing their card. They're saying we want to be a split pushing team. Aatrox, Ryze, both okay in team fights, but you don't normally think of them as team fight centric champions. But they're fantastic split pushers. Late game, how do you even go against an Aatrox or a Ryze in a one-on-one? It's damn near impossible. And so Miami just showing their cards. They're saying we're going to go with a split comp. The Poppy also very strong in that regard, with the ability to take these objectives by herself or along with only 1 or 2 members and allow that Ryze to get off to the side. And so I like Miami University, their strategy so far, and it'll be interesting to see. 1Life2Play, it looks like it's a lot more team fight, right? The Sejuani, the Varus, they're both teams are showing that they want to have different strategies, so I don't expect them to fight over similar champions. The question is, can one of them negate the other one's strategy to a higher extent with these bans? This Nocturne and Nautilus already starting to do that.
Yeah, the Sejuani in particular as a flex pick really stands out to me in this draft, because, well, it's initially locked in here on R2, really, or B2 rather. It feels like it's going to be a little bit more likely to head into the jungle. Just feels like that's where a lot of players prefer to pick it these days. The really powerful jungle options have become a little bit more limited. In the top lane, maybe you want to go for one of those stronger Aatrox counters. Senior Ice, he plays a lot of the Sejuani, but, you know, he also plays some carries. He plays the Akali, he plays the Nari, he plays the Kennen. These are things you could take into the Aatrox. But now that the Poppy's locked in and the Poppy's going to be following around whoever ends up showing up in the jungle, I feel like it's more likely to be sending the Sejuani into the top lane to try to dodge any kind of interactions with that Poppy where you're just going to get your Arctic Assault interrupted. So a little bit of power in the Sejuani flex pick there, assuming that they do end up flexing it up towards the top lane.
Well, Miami definitely thinks that they are going to. You look at the bans, Nocturne and Hecarim, those aren't top champions. Those are junglers, no flex about it. And so they believe that this Sejuani is going to the top lane. They're worried about some high impact junglers, and they were right to be worried about that. The Viego being picked up. Meanwhile, Miami picking up the Ezreal, again, it's just going with their strategy. Not an incredibly strong team fighter, good on the side lanes, also good with poke. And so when you want to go into these fights without great team fighting champions like the Ryze, you really need to poke out these the other champions before you go into it. So they're going with this pokey kind of work the map type style. Also really good for getting around the map with that with the E. And so I like this comp from Miami University, but 1Life2Play just all in on the team fights, picking up that Karma. Such a strong team fighting champion.
Yeah, gonna be a really strong takeaway from that Ezreal lane as well. There's still support left to be locked in for Miami, and taking Ezreal Karma, you know, that's probably the strongest poke bot lane you can get. Varus, he's a little poke oriented as well, especially if you end up leaning in towards something like a lethality build. That option being taken off of Miami University's cards, going to be pretty big for them there. They're gonna settle for this Soraka, so they're gonna be able to withstand the poke no matter what happens. You better believe that there's no chance of them getting poked out by this Varus Karma lane, but it means that they can't be super aggressive and that Varus is going to have the opportunity to farm out this lane. And as you keep calling out, scaling, team fighting, that's in favor of 1Life2Play this game, so they should be pretty happy with this matchup, given, assuming, rather, that they're going to be able to sustain through this bottom lane. You know, they don't have to get 2v2 kills, but they don't get killed themselves. They can avoid the poppy ganks as necessary with the speed ups and the shielding from Karma, and they'll be sitting pretty once it comes time for those team fights.
Yeah, and I think it gets difficult for 1Life2Play to pick off the back line of Ryze and Ezreal when you've got that Soraka. People talk all about her healing, as they should. She's incredibly strong in that department, but I don't think people talk enough about the silence. It's so strong. When you have a character like Sejuani or like Viego who wants to get on top of you and just bash you over the head, it's so difficult to do all of that when you're silenced. You can't dash in, you can't ult in. It becomes a game where suddenly you kind of have to dodge around and try to avoid that silence. And so honestly, I like both of these drafts in their own regard. I think it's just all going to come down to the execution, because at the end of the day, if 1Life2Play is able to stack some of these objectives, it's so difficult for Miami to get in. And on vice versa, if Miami is able to take some of the early objectives and just wait it out, not have to go for team fights, how do you split the map if you're 1Life2Play? You just lose a lot of these 1v1s against the strong characters like Ryze and like Aatrox.
Yeah, you absolutely do here. There's going to be Poggle locking in that Sejuani for the top lane, so not a surprise to see that Viego's not being flexed towards the solo lane there, but does still keep us on track with what we expect. And with what Miami University has gone for here, feels like it's going to be a little tougher to gank the bot lane, because Karma's going to be speed boosting everybody, going to have access to so many early game tools, going to have the lockdown with that tether. Really feels like you want to be Ryze ulting towards top. You want to be trying to put this Aatrox ahead so that he is going to be able to be that dominant in the side lane. For that reason, I'm going to be keeping my eyes on Poggle to take the flash on the Sejuani. You know, don't ego it here. This is not an Ignite teleport game. Make sure you're going to have access to that extra tool to get yourself out of harm's way once it comes time. The Ignite, yeah, it feels real good to have an Ignite in this game. I think Fox should definitely be taking one, because you're up against Soraka and Aatrox, but I don't think this is the place to be taking it on the Sejuani. I think you want to make sure you have access to that mobility tool.
Yeah, I think also you talked about the defensive capabilities of Flash, but it's also really strong on Sejuani. I've been spamming her in solo queue on jungle because you just dash, flash, and ult, and I really don't think anyone is getting away from that gap close. It's such a strong ability when you just want to go turbo aggressive, and so I completely agree with you, especially because Sejuani is really their only tanky member. Viego can start to get a little tanky, but other than the Sejuani, no one's really even that close, and so you want to be able to have that engage because no one else is really going to be able to give it to you. The Ignite is a lot better when you've got someone else to tank some of the damage, maybe a Nautilus, something of that sort, but when you're by yourself, you need that flash. So I'm expecting to see some of these summoners. I wouldn't be surprised to see cleanse out of this Ezreal, and you don't expect that normally because of the E that Ezreal has and the mobility that he has. But when you're going into a Varus and a you know, has Sejuani and a Viego and a Syndra, you really need to make sure you don't get locked up. So I expect to see cleanse.
Yeah, for sure here. So we'll see where we end up in the summoner spell department. Curious to see how this Ryze ends up working out as well. You know, this is a champion that was kind of off a lot of folks' radar up until Faker brought it back so recently. And, you know, if you've been around long enough, if you've seen Faker do this before, he kind of was the only one playing Ryze back during his run in Season 5. And, you know, he never really ended up having to play too much else. He kind of stuck by that champion throughout the whole tournament, and nobody else really ended up playing it too much. Pee-wee, he's going to try to play it some more, so he's going to bust it out here, at least based off what we've seen in the past week. I'm looking at his solo queue stats. He doesn't have a lot of Ryze games, so I'm curious to see how much experience he's got on this champion. Maybe he plays it on alt accounts, maybe he plays it in scrims more often than in ranked. But I want to see how this one's going to end up working out. It's a champion that definitely scales with team play, and that definitely takes a few games to get the hang of in regards to his combos. So we'll see how Pee-wee's able to perform on this pick in particular up against this Syndra.
Yeah, I also think with Rise, you kind of highlighted it perfectly. Is he's not a normal champion. You have to split push with Rise. You have to get those advantages across the map. And I think also people think of Realm Warp as a very weak ultimate ability, and it can be unless you use it correctly. You look at the T1 game where Faker was just able to get into the pit and get a Baron steal because of the vision play. So, Rise can be an incredibly strong champion. You just have to play it correctly. And yeah, I expect to see the Rise. I mean, you talked about everything so perfectly. Just taking the words out of my mouth, Gordo.
All right, let's do one more bit then. Let's get a prediction on game number 1. I know we already made our predictions clear for the series as a whole, but based on these drafts in game number 1, Bonfire, who are you going to be taking?
I've got Miami. I just think you look at the team comp and it's so strong across the map. I just like it a lot better than I would 1Life2Play. And I think it gets difficult for 1Life2Play if they get pulled around the map. So execution's important, but give me Miami.
All right, I'm going to take 1Life2Play here. I like the execution tools, or the engage tools they have access to. I think the ease of execution is pretty likely to be there. You just got to land some line skill shots and you can get your fight started. I think this new Syndra is pretty powerful. I think Rise, if you're not Faker, is a little bit weak. So I'm going to be throwing my boat behind 1Life2Play. We'll find out, though, in a couple of minutes. We're going to throw it to a quick break while we get loaded onto the Rift for game number 1, but we will see you on the other side as 1Life2Play takes on the Miami University Redhawks.
Right on the back line. There's a double knockout. Give it on the Vlad. Vlad gets one of them. Vlad's able to get 2 of them unbound. He's going to survive on the back end of it, but they're going to be able to kill the Anivia. And there's 2 dead on the side of CCW. Can they get more? There's the Vlad. Can they get the knockup on Asthmatic Boy? Can he get the blast kill? No, he can't. He's going to fall incredibly low. They're going to keep going in. Team Shooter is going to be able to get the root. They're going to try to find more. They're going to find everyone. But there's the kill. Unbound. He's doing it all. Unbound is doing it all. Give it out. Unbound. Unbound's killing them all. Unbound is winning this game.
Okay. That's good. Alright.
They're definitely gonna get it, but I think we win this one, guys.
Nice.
Oh
Maybe
my
they don't.
god.
Get it, get it, get it, get it!
Like, you know where like the cleavage is, where like the boobs touch? Or supposed to touch?
No, I've never touched a woman.
Cat Everfrost used knock on fight hit. There goes a 5-man shield there. Redhawks going to get caught up in the baby cage. That's going to be a 3-man shockwave in the backline with a big face breaker. That's going to be a showstopper right there. That's
Can't get slowed when he was in Pike's game. Nice. Okay, okay. I'm gonna try to get you to punch out. You have a knife? You can't die with this. Some good dog.
You can go. I mean, I have flashing.
Oh my god! He teleports on the side of CCW. They might try to go for a pick here. Box Prime has to be careful. Doesn't know they're all there. This could be the pick they want. But you have to be careful as well, though. They're gonna burst him down. Box Prime dies before anyone else can go in. They don't get the second call of the force guy. And here we go. Here comes the Vlad. Keep an eye on the Vlad. Vlad on the back line. There's a double knockout. Keep an eye on the Vlad. Vlad gets one of them. Vlad's able to get two of them unbound. He's gonna survive on the back end of it, but they're gonna be able to kill the Anivia. And there's two dead on the side of CCW. And they get more. There's the Vlad. Can they get the knockup on Asthmatic Boy? Can he get the blast kill? No, he can't. He's gonna fall incredibly low. They're gonna keep going in. Team Shooter is gonna be able to get the root. They're gonna try to find more. They're gonna find everyone. But there's the kill. Unbound. He's doing it all. Unbound doing it all. Give it out. Unbound. Unbound's killing them all. Unbound is winning this game.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
They're definitely gonna get it, but I think we win this one, guys.
Oh
Maybe
my
they don't.
god.
Get it, get it, get it, get it!
Welcome to Summoner's Rift. Seconds until minions spawn.
Gonna drive me insane. If I ever say Maryland or Marquette, I apologize. MU has just always meant those two universities for me. I mean, no disrespect to Miami. I just, it's habit, you know?
Yeah, even like league amateur scene and stuff. Maryville comes
Maryville,
to mind when I
yep,
see it. Yeah,
yep,
they're such big staples of the North American collegiate and amateur scene. Frankly, they've qualified for a couple of proving grounds themselves, and yeah, they're not playing in the Risen Divine League. It is going to be Miami University Redhawks, another team pretty storied in the collegiate scene. And one looking to get themselves a Divine League title here this season. So starting off on the red side, I Stole Christmas going for this this red buff leash for Evil Lobster. Really wants to make sure Poppy's set up here. He's given a long leash here.
Yeah, and I think you look at the top lane, he knows the Sejuani isn't there, so they're both matching in the top lane. Feels comfortable enough, just given a pretty heavy leash. Not worrying about the Sejuani getting early push advantages of any sort. And so because of that, gives Poppy a very good start. And it's the same thing with the Viego. Viego also has a very good start, so it'll be interesting to see what that means for both of these junglers. Like you said, normally you see top laners trying to get a little aggressive and, you know, just go to their wave a little bit quicker, but both of these top laners opting to go more of a hopeful style, and because of that, both of these junglers set up pretty good in the early game. There's not a lot of early vision. We're already seeing pings onto the Poppy, though. Skipping the Krugs, going straight to the Gromp, possibly an early invade, as they do have vision of that.
Yeah, for sure. Nice stun by a Kaipo in the mid lane. We'll get a little bit of harassment onto Pee-wee early on. We're still a couple minutes away from any of the major objectives spawning, but early on, I Stole Christmas going to be getting the push in this top lane. He called this out earlier, you know, he didn't really have to care about the long leash. He still would know he would be able to get it later. So that's going to be a steal from Evil Lobster. Actually, not quite. Does look like Spizzy was able to get himself the buff and is actually winning out on the trade in the long run. Evil Lobster, without those cooldowns, cannot actually fight up against this Viego, and he will have to book it back into his own side of the jungle.
Yeah, did know that Pee-wee had the push in on the mid lane, so felt comfortable going for something a little aggressive. Didn't end up working out, but knowing that you didn't have to utilize the flash, didn't have to worry too much about dying right there. I think Spee Verret can, you know, definitely be stronger in the late game, but this early, I think the Poppy feels comfortable enough, so it's a good attempt, but nothing comes of it. But, you know, you talked about it in the top lane. This advantage is just so strong for this Aatrox. I would expect to see Spizzy Vert, you know, possibly try to help out because I mean, Poggle's going to have a tough time of it, but only down 6 CS, it can be worse, and Spizzy Vert actually getting a pretty good advantage off that blue buff now.
Yeah, nice steal there. I think Evil Lobster really was hoping that he'd be able to smite down that red buff. Might have given him a little bit more power to fight out, actually, up against that Viego. He still had a red buff on him regardless, but would have given them that little bit of extra XP, would have meant that there was no red buff on Spizzy Vert, which definitely helped out the Viego in the fight. So, ends up being a Spizzy Vert favored jungle matchup for sure, as he's got plenty more camps left to go and farm. Evil Lobster going to try to claim himself something more on this top side.
Yeah, and I think that's just a vision play, right? We talked about the vision that 1Life2Play had on that bot side, being aware of where Evil Lobster was, and so they know that he didn't go for blue buff.
Yeah, Poggle's going to get pushed back away from the turret. Does flash his way back, and I Stole Christmas not quite ready with the follow-up, so Poggle will survive. Good choice to take that flash. We suggested it back in Champion Select that, hey, you're going to get ganked quite a bit in this matchup, and you're going to definitely want to have access to that tool to be able to get out. Comes in clutch right there to make sure he is going to be able to stay alive, teleport back to lane, and not miss out on too much. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Fox is going to get the root onto its beans. The Ignite comes down as well. There's going to be the arrow. There's going to be the first blood for Boomer to Walrus, and now with that Varus passive, plenty of combat power up against Militant, chunks him down to about 150 HP, and he will have to head back out there. They will be able to farm up the turret, get those minions at the very least, but is going to be down to support and is going to be plenty of first blood gold. Meanwhile, Spizzy Vert looking in the top lane, really just wants to make sure they're going to be able to crash this wave.
Yeah, so strong in the bot lane from Boomer to Walrus, along with Fox, knowing how the limitations of the champions, it's Beans, just not flashing that early root, feeling comfortable enough, taking the damage, and thought that he could survive it, but just a really good snipe at the very end from Boomer to Walrus, and the early fighting prowess of this Varus really does go unnoticed quite a bit, and I think people just don't respect how much damage it can put out when paired alongside some hard CC, and that's exactly what they got. They got themselves first blood in a pretty quiet game as well. It's just so important to get that early advantage.
Yeah, the Blighted Quiver active also, just giving him a whole bunch of extra execution damage, and really means that it's Beans needed to pop the heal, needed to pop the flash, needed to pop something, but this gank in the top lane, Poggle, got interrupted, got grounded, gets one stun off, but he's surely going to be going down here before too long. I Stole Christmas, gets himself the first kill of the top lane, and building out an even bigger lead in this top lane. This is going to be a huge wave to crash into the turret.
Yeah, Evil Lobster, just the knowledge of having that Hex tech and being able, or the Hex Flash, excuse me, and being able to Hex Flash into lane just gives you the gap close that you would normally have on a Flash. Usually it can be really strong when you're coming out of a bush, and that's exactly how it was utilized, and just knowing that there was nothing that he could do.
Here comes the Rise ultimate. Spizzy Vert caught a little bit out. And doesn't have the ultimate to jump over the wall, doesn't want to expend the flash, so Militant's just going to be able to pick up that kill. Now with a numbers advantage and with Dragon up, they're going to start making moves towards this Infernal Drake. Can't land the skill shots, and it's taken plenty of damage, but in a 4 versus 1, Boomer to Walrus has nowhere left to go. He gets slammed into the wall, he gets taken down, 3-1 for MU.
Yeah, I felt so comfortable. Boomer to Walrus the whole time's thinking, I've got flash, I'm going to be able to flash out of this. But that's that silence. Just got silence there at the very end. Wasn't able to flash, and it actually did end up rooting as well. I also want to highlight Pee-wee. It was so strong because, right, the Viego did have flash, wasn't able to use it. The flash root from Pee-wee just was able to keep him locked up for long enough where Militant and Pee-wee were able to do enough damage. So both Pee-wee alongside its Beans locking up the carries, making sure the flash didn't matter. And you know, you could critique those champions for, or those players for not flashing early enough, but they really thought that they were going to be able to use it, and just a really smart job from players on Miami making sure that they weren't able to.
Yeah, great little smite there from Evil Lobster to secure himself the Scuttle Crab, but now going to be forced to flash. He's getting chased by multiple targets in his own jungle. Pings are coming in onto the Dragon here. 1Life2Play. They want to secure this one for themselves, but they are going to be under the guidance of that Scuttle Crab. It's going to be well spotted by MU. Meanwhile, Poggle fighting with I Stole Christmas just does not end up winning this one. The lethality from the Aatrox, the level advantage, Going to come up huge there. He gets himself a solo kill on the top lane.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one from the Sejuani. I think it's a good attempt, but I'm just not sure why you take that fight. You're aware that you're a tank. You're already down around 30 CS, and you're going against an Aatrox, right? The healing's always going to be there for him, and you're just tanking all of those Qs. It's not like there was a really good stun that you were able to find that you tried to follow up on. You just walked directly into 1,000 of his Qs, so I'm not sure about that one. That's something that I imagine Poggle's going to look back on with some dismay in Game 2.
Absolutely here. Now, starting off in the bottom lane. It's been a solid lead at first for 1Life2Play, but they fought their way back from the side of Miami. Now, Pee-wee stepping up against a Kaipo here. Seems to have gotten a good trade earlier on. Has himself a nice CS lead as well. Just keeping this wave shoved in. Finding that roam timer on the bottom lane to put his bot lane back into the game. Having a great game so far in this Rise.
Yeah, I think Pee-wee's done a fantastic job, and it's just going to get difficult. You talked about what Rise can bring to those split pushing. Poggle, I think, is actually, yeah, very smartly just going to back up there.
Sure here, and that's going to be a kill for It's Beans. Gets himself taken down early on here. Meanwhile, I Stole Christmas going to respond on the top side. Takes out Poggle. Now Fox going to look for this engage onto Militant. Boomer the Walrus is there for the backup. Skill shot's not quite landing for either side, so going to just stay in the favor of the 1Life2Play bottom lane, but they are completely losing control of their top lane. Double the CS for I Stole Christmas. He is really running away with it up here, and they're going to need to find some kind of response sooner rather than later, as they're going to end up losing out on this Rift Herald as well.
Yeah, it's going to get difficult. You look at the bot side as well at Kaipo, just checking out that if there was a possible tower dive, but there was nothing there. Ultimate just to keep I Stole Christmas away. Spizzy Vert could do something here.
Oh, Spizzy Vert going to get the stun on I Stole Christmas. He's going to try to fight his way out of this. Does have plenty of sustain, but doesn't have the ultimate. A boot out from Evil Lobster, and there's going to be the slam into the wall on a Spizzy Vert. Huge play there by Miami University. They get another kill onto their jungler. They get an assist on I Stole Christmas, and most importantly, they avoid that bounty from going over to the side of 1Life2Play.
Evil Lobster living up to that name. That was straight dubious right there. Knocking away Poggle just as the stun was about to come up on I Stole Christmas. And that was what they were working towards. That stun was going to keep that Aatrox locked up, allow the damage to come across. But when that Sejuani is flying across the map looking like a Fall Guys character, there's just nothing you could do, keeping him away from the fight. And then it was just easy enough to kill Spizzy Vert. Man, what a fantastic ultimate right there. Just single-handedly winning them the fight.
Booted straight out of the game there. Poggle, nowhere really left to go here, and now he's going to end up losing out on more CS. He's kind of in between a rock and a hard place here. He wants to keep farming. He doesn't want to recall again, but he's at risk of getting dove by Evil Lobster. Evil Lobster channels the recall, steps back around, has the pink ward, so he knows he's not spotted, and he's just going to keep risking this, going back and forth, threatening to go for the dive. I Stole Christmas will decide to go for the recall here, so he will back away, but the threat is what matters. Lockdown onto It's Beans. Takes about half of his HP in damage. Crucially, the piercing arrow ends up missing, and Militant is just raining in damage. But now, without his Soraka there, he takes quite a bit more. Will get chunked out just as low as she was, and they're going to be pretty low all around here, trying to reset the wave with that True Shot Barrage, but just can't do it.
Yeah, and here's the thing. You look at what It's Beans has. There's ultimate on the Soraka. There's also heal. No one's going to die from this bot lane.
Coming on in, Pee-wee and Evil Lobster arrive, slam into the wall on a Boomer the Walrus, who's expended both summoner spells. The damage is coming through. They're trying to focus down this Varus, but can't quite get that last bit in there. Fox is very low as well. Busy Vert going to try and clear out the wave for his bot lane, trying to prevent this dive from coming on across. Evil Lobster could tank this up for a while. He's got the Rift Herald as well. Looking to keep this going, wants to try to find an angle over the wall. Pee-wee continues to throw out those shots, trying to get the damage on across. They've at least taken down 4 plates, but it doesn't look like they'll be able to finish the turret. A Kaipo is arriving now, could potentially turn this around. Lands it onto Beans. There comes the executes. Busy Vert going to be able to take over the Soraka, going for the heals on the rest of his team. The damage, though, from this Rise, the Spell Flux gets so much done, but can't quite pick up any targets. A Kaipo now with the last member with HP. He's going to come up for the double stun. Great stopwatch from Pee-wee, keeps him alive, but he will go down to the orbs afterwards, tries to trade back the damage, but can't quite find it. Militant now is out of mana. Evil Lobster is out of health. I Stole Christmas is solo killing in the top lane, and now the dive is coming through from a Kaipo, goes for another stun, gets the flash out of Evil Lobster to prevent him from going down. The turret plate's coming in for the other side now, but a Kaipo can't quite finish the job, just got himself the 2 kills.
Kaipo is a monster, just completely changing the fight right there. I was about to mention a Kaipo on the backside, and I felt like he was there just a little bit too late, but being able to get the scatter of the week onto its beans made sure that the Viego could get a reset, get some heals off, and then a Kaipo able to get the ultimate out. I hope we can see that again, because I want to break everything down. Pee-wee and Militant doing so much poke damage versus the absolute burst ability that a Kaipo had, the scatter of the weeks, finding two at some times. Just an incredibly strong fight right there, so back and forth, and these are two playoff teams. This is what they bring, strong team fighting and back and forth. This is exactly what we want to see, and in game one, no less, this is heaven for me.
Absolutely. If Pee-wee had just the tiniest bit more damage, he could have killed like 3 people down there in the bottom lane, but just
100%.
doesn't quite get it across with the spell flux. Multiple members left below 100 HP. Now, Evil Lobster looking to maybe get this started again, but Spizzy Vert, he's got plenty of damage for himself and is willing to take it onto this Poppy with that Blade of the Ruin King. Meanwhile, Poggle, he's just struggling up here, man. He has been shut completely out of this game now, and I Stole Christmas is taking full advantage. Meanwhile, rest of the team trying to steal away on this bottom side where they are strongest. They're going to boot out the blue buff, which will be sprinting back here before too long. Here he comes. You can't actually manage to kill him when he's like this, but you can go for the dragon instead. True Shot Barrage comes on across. They're going to be able to smite that down. What about the follow-up fight? Militant blinks over the wall. Spizzy Vert is looking for something, but you can't believe he's going to find it. They are just going to be able to settle for that dragon and back on away. But actually, they still want this blue buff. They're not done. There's not going to be any more punting away of this golem. They will be able to secure it for themselves. It goes to a Kaipo. Now, the teleport coming in, though. They want to take this fight 5 versus 4. TP in from I Stole Christmas. He gets locked down by the Chains of Corruption. Evil Lobster looking for a heroic charge angle. Can't find it. That's going to be an escape from Spizzy Vert. Only has to expend the ultimate, and nobody else going to have to blow anything. A little bit of a wasted TP there, unless they find an angle. A Kaipo up a little bit far. He's going to be able to take him out with the Unleashed Power, but it'll be traded 1-for-1 as I Stole Christmas comes over the wall and takes him out. Realm Warp into the rest of the fight. I Stole Christmas looking for these Darkened Blades, gets a knock up on Boomer the Walrus and takes him out. Now Fox and Spizzy Vert left alone in this bottom lane. Poggle is still just farming up on top. Hasn't been able to find an angle to teleport in, and they're going to lose an inner turret for this.
Yeah, Poggle's so completely out of the game, even with teleport, doesn't feel comfortable enough going in that there's going to be anything that he can do. Has to just try to farm up, and this is the split push that I talked about. I Stole Christmas just feels so strong against Poggle, able to push in the top side, force it to be a 5v4, and then a Kaipo just getting picked out. Unfortunately, not able, anything you could do about that. Able to trade it a 1-for-1 right there, so you feel pretty good about that, but at the very end of it, Pee-wee is doing so much work on this rise, and now Poggle actually has to be a little careful.
Yeah, he's got a 2-level lead on this Poppy, and I Stole Christmas is still pretty far away, but he will take about a third of his HP in damage for the trouble, and Evil Lobster will be able to at least make sure that that gold is going to somebody in the top lane. But now regrouping, 1Life2Play. Their top laner is pretty much totally out of the game, but they still have some strong carries that they can fall back onto, and they're looking to make a pick onto I Stole Christmas here. They want that shutdown gold.
Yeah, but Evil Lobster is close enough. I'm not sure that they will win that 3v2. Fox and Poggle are so far behind in levels of I Stole Christmas. That's a 7 and a 10 compared to a 12. Meanwhile, Evil Lobster just does so much work at making sure it's so difficult to get on top. But you see, Evil Lobster is actually moving away a bit right now, so not able to shadow as much. It looks like both teams don't want to try for something in the top side. I Stole Christmas feels incredibly strong. It feels difficult for 1Life2Play to go in on it. And that's, again, just the split push. Look at the bot side right now. Pee-wee's just pushing in this bot wave. They're trying to go for a team fight, but they're losing things, and here we go.
Ooh, the lockdown on I Stole Christmas. He is going to ultimate. He tries to sustain up with the passive, but the shutdown comes through for Spizzy Vert, and now with him corrupting this Aatrox, he's going to have all of those itemizations, all of that advantage, but he jumps over the wall to go for Pee-wee instead. Evil Lobster joins him on the other side, trying to get him into the wall. Can't actually get it with the heroic charge, and that's going to be 3 kills. Picked up for 1Life2Play. They take out Pee-wee over the wall, and now chasing down onto its beans. This bot lane is going to have to watch out for another scatter of the week that might just end their lives right here, right now. It's Beans trying to sustain up, trying to land those crucial Qs, but over the wall, Poggles slams him down, and Militant, with a little bit of a freeze frame, just has to watch as his entire team is cut down in front of him. 9-9 on the score line. 1Life2Play strikes back.
yeah, they had the split pushing with Pee-wee in the bot side, and they opt to go for for a fight on the Rift Herald. They felt comfortable enough with the with the game state, excuse me, that they just wanted to abandon what their team composition was really good for, and instead they wanted to fight over the Rift Herald. They felt like they had the gold advantage, and well, on the on the leaderboard, it might have said that they had a gold advantage. You look at these abilities they have in the team fight, and a Kaipo just being able to stun up and kill this Aatrox way too early, and Rise arriving just a little bit too late. They had the push on the bot side. They abandoned it. They go for the fight, and they nearly get aced for it. That's a diet ace, as I like to call it. 4 dead. And this game is now basically dead even. A 2,000 gold difference is all we have, but at this point, it feels like either team could win any single fight.
Yeah, and every bit of it is on I Stole Christmas. So when you take him out of the fight, you're well more than even here, because you not only have the 5 versus 4, but you also are effectively even in gold across the board. With I Stole Christmas gone, you know, the whole advantage just gets completely wiped out. You can see, though, in the one-on-one, it's still going to favor I Stole Christmas. He's finding some great trade angles onto Poggle here, and they're going to need to keep finding opportunities to use the fight that they have from Sejuani, or they can just one-shot Beans. I mean, if they just one-shot Beans, that's going to open up a whole bunch of avenues as well.
Yeah, Akaipo's having the game of his life right now, just completely carrying what felt like 1Life2Play's dead carcass across the finish line, playing so well on this Syndra. These stuns that he's finding onto the Soraka just feel so deadly for 1Life2Play, and I'm just not sure how Miami's going to try to go against this. You try to dodge the Scatter of the Week, you're going directly into a Sejuani and a Viego, and so this is a big question mark right now, because usually the Sejuani, or the Syndra likes to sit on the backside and just try to get those Qs off in the Ws, but this is an attack Syndra they got going right now. Kaipo trying to find the engages himself and just continuously finding them.
Look at the damage he does to Evil Lobster there. You know, this is not the tankiest Poppy in the world. She's got the Divine Sunder as her build. She can rely on Steadfast Presence to get her a little bit more tankiness, but still just gonna get cut through like butter by that Syndra. Now here's a flank angle from Spizzyvert. He's looking for Beans, locks him down with the stun, getting the autos. The Blade of the Rune King just does so much work here. But Ultimate would be able to take him down, but he doesn't get to channel it in time. Gets booted out by Evil Lobster. Hero play from the Miami jungler, and they're gonna roam warp their way out of there, back into the mid lane. Scatter the Week goes wide, and they will be able to keep themselves safe. And I Stole Christmas. He is so strong. He is not isolated. They are looking to collapse onto a Kaipo here over the wall. Militant maybe up a little bit far, but dives away from the frozen prison, and now moving forward is the rest of the team. I Stole Christmas in that ultimate form in his World Ender, going to be looking to end some worlds, and it's going to be Poggle first and foremost. Pee-wee finishes off that kill, and they can keep their siege going in the mid lane. What looked like it was a great pick by 1Life2Play gets turned around on.
Yeah, these fights are so incredibly close. It just turns into complete positioning. You look at where all of these members are. Evil Lobster, first of all, saving its beans, as Boomer the Walrus is going to have his shield bow pop. Saving its beans early in the fight, but I'm going to have to stop because there's going to be more.
Kaipo's damage is just nuts here, but I Stole Christmas isn't the one who's taking it. Evil Lobster's taken down right away, and he's just going to be the combo coming through on the Vert with the Darkened Blade to cut him down as well. Fox falls on the other side of the map. It looks like Beans was the one who ended up picking up that kill, and that's 3 for 0. Tons of damage coming through from the Miami side, and they're going to keep this siege going into the mid lane.
It's I Stole Christmas versus a Kaipo for how many people can make me say, oh, as these damage is just unbelievable. I Stole Christmas just pushes out so much consistent damage. Meanwhile, a Kaipo, we both saw that with our own 2 eyes. Unbelievable how much damage the Scatter of the Week was able to do. And what we both expect Evil Lobster to be one of the more tanky members. And so, I mean, a Kaipo is just the win condition right now for 1Life2Play. And he has so many tools to make sure that he's able to get the damage off as well. You look at Poggle, you look at Fox, you look at Boomer the Walrus. Yeah, it's the ADC, but with Chains of Corruption, can set up things so incredibly well. But now they want I Stole Christmas. They want that shutdown.
Yeah, they absolutely do, and their lockdown is very impressive. They've got the chain stuns right into the Sejuani Q and can't get the third Darkened Blade off in time. Shut down for Spizzyvert, and with I Stole Christmas off the map, this is all 1Life2Play favored. The gold lead, you can ignore it right offhand there. They're going to try to start up this Baron, and they are favored in any fight that's going to break out.
Yeah, but Pee-wee's coming in right now, so they're going to have to deal with this poke that Militant and Pee-wee push out. Akaipo's going to have to do something. Gets rooted up, though.
Flash in and one shot on a Militant. So much damage comes through, and now it's basically a 3v3 as Evil Lobster has punted some carries out of this fight. But look at Spizzy Vert. He could try to get a reset here. They're going to try to interrupt on a Pee-wee. Can't get the Realm Warp on across, but Spizzy is going to end up dropping. Poggle flashing forward, looking to fight through Pee-wee, but it's Beans. His healing is doing so much, and they're focusing the Soraka last. They will turn around, and that means Evil Lobster is going to have the opportunity to escape, and it's Beans expends his entire mana bar to keep his team alive, and now I Stole Christmas is here to clean it up. He's gonna find Boober the Walrus first and foremost, and he's gonna take him right off the map, and now Akaipo, he's fighting for his life and to try to make this fight a little bit more even. If he can find Evil Lobster, he can kill him, but he's got to be more concerned about his own life first. He's gonna get himself out of here. He will be able to escape, but another big fight for the side of Miami.
Yeah, Evil Lobster turning that into a 3v3 is really what won them that. They lost Militant so quickly, and again, it's Akaipo taking that AD carry out of the fight so early, turned it into a 1Life2Play victory, we both thought, I imagine, but then turning it into a 3-on-3 changed things completely, considerably, and then it's just all on its Beans, keeping the members alive and making sure that Pee-wee can do so much damage in that fight. Pee-wee just continuously pushing off the damage that this late game Rise can do, and I know the scoreline doesn't look that good for Pee-wee, but just watch him in any fight. I promise you, the damage is unbelievable. And so again, it's just so difficult. How do you take Baron right there when you've got the poke of Pee-wee and you've got the healing of its Beans? Both of these teams, it's just on a knife's edge right now.
Yeah, and huge performances from each individual member here as well. Beans been caught out in a lot of these fights, but gets his positioning right in that last fight and ends up coming up clutch to keep the team members alive over and over and over again. Foggle, though, looking for another angle on the engage. I Stole Christmas. He's on the bottom side. He's the one you got to keep your eyes on. If they can pick him off, once again, they can be in a winning position, but it's been tough to do in some of these even fights.
Yeah, and they're being forced into this drag pit right now, but it doesn't even look they want to go for Dragon. Right now they're on Soul Point, and so everybody on Miami have to go but into the Dragon Pit. But right now they might possibly want to split this across the map for a Baron. They're hiding in a bush right now, though, so Miami has to be so careful here.
Yeah, I Stole Christmas. He's stepping up a little bit far. He is primary target number 1. There's going to be the Chains of Corruption. Don't land onto anybody. That's one of those engage tools, one of those lockdown options, no longer available. And Akaipo loses a big chunk of his HP. A huge True Shot Barrage chunks out the entire team, and they might have to stop the Baron just there. Meanwhile, this whole time, Pee-wee is doing the Dragon.
Yeah, and he's got Realm Warp as well, so he's not worried at all about that there's a fight without him. He's able to just take this Dragon, and if a fight ever were to break out, the Realm Warp would be able to get him back into that Baron fight. And so, again, this is the strength of this Rise, right? You're on one side of the map at one point, and then you've got your own TP to get to another side. It's very similar to a Twisted Fate, but unlike Twisted Fate, you scale incredibly well. Pee-wee just has to be noticed in every single fight. You got to keep an eye on Pee-wee, and that gives I Stole Christmas an avenue into these fights, so no fight to be had right there. A fantastic True Shot Barrage making sure that.
Yeah, here comes a 3-man squad from 1Life2Play, but they're all spotted on this ward. I Stole Christmas. He knows it's time to get out of dodge, and he will do just that. Trying to position themselves around the Baron here. It was a good idea to challenge Baron, knowing that Miami, Ohio, they have to take so many opportunities to prevent themselves from actually giving up that Dragon Soul, but now that it's off the map, everybody knows face up, you know, it's only going to be this Baron. That's the only objective we're fighting over, and Evil Lobster is here in time to make sure they're going to be able to fight for the vision.
Oh,
A ton of damage onto Beans. He just gets one shot. Akaipo's unstoppable, and without that sustaining support, this is going to be a lot easier for 1Life2Play to execute. Going in on top of Militant, he will be able to flash away and cleanse. Spizzy Vert, though, nearly taking the 80 carry off of the map, and Pee-wee will get taken down, and meanwhile, that's the Frozen Prison it was held on to the entire time. I Stole Christmas, though, trying to carry the fight. Third Darkened Blade, sustaining back up, but will just get focused down. No, he can sustain back up. He's got the Death's Dance. He's got all of the passive heals. He's already back to full HP. And the shutdown for Militant onto Akaipo turns around the fight. I Stole Christmas with 3 men on top of him, fights them all off. And Miami University takes it again.
Yeah, I Stole Christmas really is the Grinch. You know why? Because his KDA grew 3 times that day. Oh my goodness, he's gonna get another.
He's looking to chase more. He's nuts. Has completely dominated this game from front to back, and now moving forward onto the inhibitor.
Just an absolute madman, changing that fight. It looked so doomed. It's Beans. Again, the positioning fails him. Akaipo gets that early damage off, kills the support, but it's I Stole Christmas has just completely changed the landscape of this game. An absolute monster on this Aatrox. This is why you don't allow it through the ban phase. 1Life2Play, I imagine, even if they win this game, are going to ban the Aatrox. And you only have one man to thank for that, and that is I Stole Christmas, just showing the limits of the champion, playing so incredibly well.
The writing's on the wall, Bonfire. This champion is busted. And we've gotten to see plenty of it at Worlds. We've gotten to see plenty of it since then. It's a little nerfed on the live patch, but clearly I Stole Christmas did not get that memo. He's running away with this game. Almost done with his 4th item. 9-2-3. About to complete the Flame Horizon. And it's so hard for 1Life2Play to get anything done as long as he's on the map.
Yeah, and I think what it really needs to be is you need to make sure that you can lock up I Stole Christmas, right? It's easier said than done going into this Aatrox, but ooh.
Alright, Evil Lobster taking a fair bit of damage there, but Steadfast Presence means that Unleashed Power isn't enough to kill him, and that's an important execution tool down for Akaipo. I don't know if you could kill I Stole Christmas at all without having access to Unleashed Power, so he should be feeling a lot more powerful now. Level 16, frontlining for his team, ready to take a fight wherever it presents itself.
Yeah, and I think this goes without saying, but you need to kill the Soraka to make sure that It's Beans cannot heal I Stole Christmas, and then you need to get a Scatter of the Week onto him. Scatter of the Week or Sejuani Ultimate or anything really can just completely lock him up, and that's really the hope, right? But it's just so difficult, the healing that he does, and I mean, he was sitting in, what, 3 people there in that fight, and healing out the entire time. It's just unbelievable. This champion, I Stole Christmas, just making it look so strong.
Absolutely, and there's Pee-wee finding an angle onto Fox. Boomer to Walrus is the next target, slammed into the wall by Heroic Charge. Going to be coming back up from the GA, but his whole team is just collapsing around him. I Stole Christmas has arrived. He's getting the resets on the World Ender, and there's only 2 members left alive to try to fight up against him. Scatter of the Week will create some distance for Akaipo, but now it's just time to turn on the Baron, and there is no chance of challenging this for 1Life2Play. They've lost 3 members, including their jungler, and they are going to lose the Baron.
Yeah, Pee-wee has played so well as a support style Rise. You build that Everfrost, and you just make sure that you're able to imprison people, and it's just so strong. Fox right there was not the benefactor, the victim of Pee-wee, and just got rooted up before the fight even started. And when you don't have those shields from the Karma, how are you able to fight that? How are you able to do anything? And just losing that fight really from the get-go, and Pee-wee's the one to thank for that. The Realm Warp making sure Akaipo wasn't in that fight, and I Stole Christmas just saw dinner, was able to get some kills. I think we're also not talking enough about Militant, 6-1-4, the poke that this Ezreal is able to put out before these fights start. I mean, the True Shot barrages are really starting to hurt now.
Absolutely don't want to undersell that 80 carry. Has had a fantastic performance since that landing phase. And now here's the last-ditch effort, Bonfire. This could be Dragon Soul for 1Life2Play if they can just find an angle onto it. But you can already see the setup. Pee-wee lurking in those bushes, looking for an angle, and they're just going to get the Dragon so easily. No challenge available for 1Life2Play.
Yeah, and I think you're able to stack it, right? You were able to get those early dragons, so that's not such an important one. It's not even soul point if you lose it, so I don't think they feel too uncomfortable about that. It's some stats being given over, but other than that, nothing else. Ooh, Akaipo actually has to be careful, though. Evil Lobster's close.
Yeah, great damage, but he's level 14. He doesn't have the rank 3 ultimate yet, and oh my god, the damage from I Stole Christmas and Pee-wee. They just destroy the squishy Syndra and Karma, and now 5 versus 3 to siege onto the base. They've got the Baron buff on their minions, and they have got a great angle here in the bottom lane. Poggle has to basically just walk back from the base. He can't teleport. He'll die instantly, so they're going to watch as they lose 2 inhibitors, and maybe they're going to go for the base here, channeling up that boot out from Evil Lobster. He will successfully do it. The ultimate from Sejuani is going to go wide. Militant in a 1 versus 2 dodges away from Poggle, just melting him down with repeated Mystic shots, and he will be able to take him out. Meanwhile, the resets coming through for Spizzy Vert. He gets himself 2 kills. I Stole Christmas is is taken off the map.
Hold
and
on.
now with Spizzy Vert is the form of that Aatrox, can have the opportunity to carry the fight. He takes out on a Pee-wee. Pee-wee now in the form of Spizzy Vert, just going to demolish the rest of the fight. The triple kill comes through for the Viego, and now looking to make it a quadra, chasing on to Beans. Beans trying to sustain up, is going to expend the flash. Will it be enough to escape this Viego, though? He's using the Maw, he's using the Mist. He will have access to quite a bit more movement speed than this Soraka. She's not running towards an injured ally, so she is not nearly as fast as this Viego, and he will eventually be able to take her down. Misses the Blade of the Ruin King. That's going to make it take a little bit longer, but surely he picks this up. That's the unofficial quadra for the 1Life2Play jungler.
Yeah, Spizzy Vert completely saving the team right there. Soon as he hopped onto the Aatrox, suddenly it was the side of Miami that had to be worried about the Aatrox, and that is just so strong right there. I want to go back to that original pick that they had on a Kaipo, because I feel like Pee-wee's just playing the map so incredibly well, just able to get the backstab as a Kaipo tries to run away. But then they try to go for the end right there, and they're just completely ignoring this Viego. And once the resets come along with the healing that Miami has on their team, once Viego has access to it, it's so difficult to kill him. The execute on his ultimate at this point, level 15, is so incredibly big that he's just able to kill people when they're around 30% health. And so Spizzy Vert now suddenly with the demonic scoreline, it's not Halloween anymore, my friend, but he's still happy with the 666 scoreline. Just is a complete problem. You have to be worried about Spizzy Vert as well, because again, one reset with a Kaipo as the burst ability, and suddenly 1Life2Play has an avenue back into this game.
That's the catch on I Stole Christmas with that Frozen Prison, looking to try to lock him down, but he's already sustained back up. He's got Beans at his back. If they can't find that angle, they cannot find that fight. That is going to be World Ender down. It's Poppy Ultimate down. It's True Shot Barrage down, but it's no kills for the side of 1Life2Play.
Yeah, and again, Pee-wee just playing the map so incredibly well. I talk about the split push that he can bring into these fights. He's just in the bot side, right? And so he's able to push in these waves. And how are you able to fight in the mid lane? Look at the waves just coming in right now. They have to worry about that. And at this point, they're giving up jungle control. They have no idea where anybody in Miami is. And they're just losing a lot because of Pee-wee playing the map so incredibly well.
Yeah, and Miami knows they just have to find an angle here. They can end this game so quickly. No Nexus turrets left alive. They just need to get the waves in. Fox going to be the target. Gets hit by one tick of Darkened Blade. Now going to be able to stay alive, but very low HP while he's at it. Evil Lobster now running into the front line. 3-man stun from Scatter the Weak. A Kaipo needs to find a way to carry this fight. Needs to find an angle to one-shot I Stole Christmas. He's level 16 now, so he has that extra ultimate damage. They're focusing on to Pee-wee, but Spizzy Vert falling incredibly low, and he's going to get shut down. No resets coming through for the Viego in this fight. A Kaipo takes out Evil Lobster, but that's a frontliner, my man. That's not a carry. That's not going to be able to save your team in this game number 1. Double kill, triple kill comes through for I Stole Christmas, and Miami is going to take game number 1.
Yeah, he might be the Grinch. Again, I made this joke earlier, but it's such a good name, you have to. Just completely stealing away game 1 right there. That Aatrox is surely going to be a ban in later games. Man, that Champions is tuned pretty well, but I think it's a team win right there, right? You talk about the damage that he's able to put out, but when you're Aatrox, you really need team members to make sure that you are well fed, that you have favorable fights, and everyone just came beside him and helped him out.
Absolutely, getting so much done there in those fights. A great laning phase for the Aatrox, transferred into a great team fighting phase. You know, he got caught out once or twice. They had a little bit of a shaky fight in the enemy base, but all in all, in control for quite a bit of that game, even though the kill score might not quite show it. And Kaipo, so much damage on the Syndra there. You know, you got to give him credit. Nearly was able to pull that game back in a couple of moments, but just couldn't fight his way through I Stole Christmas's Aatrox.
Yeah, and it's difficult, right? Aatrox is so hard to burst down, especially when there's a Soraka behind him. I also want to give Pee-wee his credit. I feel like I've been singing his praise all game, but we talked about how difficult it can be to play Rise. I think in this ELO and in this type of league, you really want to be in team fighting style comps. That's what you expect to see. You don't see a lot of cross map, but I think he was played Rise so incredibly well. It always felt like they were losing waves. It always felt like there just was always a constant bottom or top push. And then the Roam Warps just felt like he could always be at anywhere he needed to be and just locking people up. So huge shout out to Pee-wee as well. It's going to go unnoticed, but I feel like Pee-wee played an incredibly strong game. 29,000 damage, almost 30,000 to his name. So an incredibly strong game on the Rise, and You know, I was right. You know, I don't wanna say anything, but Miami grabbing game one. It's what it's not what we maybe both of us expected. Picking 1Life2Play to win this.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the just all around a great performance. We'll see what it looks like with that Aatrox taken off the table, because it's almost a foregone conclusion here, right? We know that one's getting taken off the board for game number 2. So let's see how that changes up the game. All around, a very fun game to watch. Lots of action to be had, both throughout the laning phase and the later game. Let's see what that looks like maybe when somebody isn't quite so dominant in the top lane. See if he can do it. We're going to throw it to a quick break here while we get into draft for game number 2, but we will see you on the other side as we continue tonight's series.
You can go. I mean, I have flashing. A second.
Oh my god! He teleports on the side of CCW. They might try to go for a pick here. Box Prime has to be careful. Doesn't know they're all there. This could be the pick they want, but you have to be careful as well, though. They're gonna burst him down. Box Prime dies before anyone else can go in. They don't get the second call of the force down, and here we go. Here comes the Vlad. Keep an eye on the Vlad. Vlad on the back line. There's a double knockout. Keep an eye on the Vlad. Vlad gets one of them. Vlad's able to get 2 of them unbound. He's gonna survive on the back end of it, but they're gonna be able to kill the Anivia. And there's 2 dead on the side of CCW. Can they get more? There's the Vlad. Can they get the knockup on Asthmatic Boy? Can he get the blast kill? No, he can't. He's gonna fall incredibly low. They're gonna keep going in. Team Shooter is gonna be able to get the root. They're gonna try to find more. They're gonna find everyone. But there's the kill. Unbound. He's doing it all. Unbound is doing it all. Give it out. Unbound. Unbound's killing them all. Unbound is winning this game.
Okay. You guys good?
They're definitely gonna get it, but I think we win this one, guys.
Nice.
Oh, maybe they got him.
Get it, get it, get it, get it!
Like, you know where like the cleavage is, where like the boobs touch? Or supposed to touch?
No, I've never touched a woman.
Cat Everfrost will use not gonna quite hit. There goes a 5-man shield there. Redhawks going to get caught up in the baby cage. That's gonna be a 3-man shockwave in the back line with a big face breaker. That's gonna be a showstopper right there. That's
Can't get slowed when he was in Pike game. That's 15, that's 15. Nice. Take. Get him. I'm gonna try to get you the penta also. You never know. You can't die with it. Don't get dog.
You can go. I mean, I have flashing. A second.
Oh my god! He teleports on the side of CCW. They might try to go for a pick here. Box Prime has to be careful. Doesn't know they're all there. This could be the pick they want, but you have to be careful as well, though. They're gonna burst him down. Box Prime dies before anyone else can go in. They don't get the second call of the force dive, and here we go. Here comes the Vlad. Keep an eye on the Vlad. Vlad on the back line. There's a double knockout. Keep an eye on the Vlad. Vlad gets one of them. Vlad's able to get two of them unbound. He's gonna survive on the back end of it, but they're gonna be able to kill the Anivia. And there's two dead on the side of CCW. Can they get more? There's the Vlad. Can they get the knockup on Asthmatic Boy? Can he get the blast kill? No, he can't. He's gonna fall incredibly low. They're gonna keep going in. Team Shooter is gonna be able to get the root. They're gonna try to find more. They're gonna find everyone. But there's the kill. Unbound. He's doing it all. Unbound is doing it all. Give it out. Unbound. Unbound's killing them all. Unbound is winning.
Welcome back, everybody, to tonight's broadcast of the Risen Divine League, where now we have Miami University up 1-0 over 1Life2Play. 2 more wins away from getting themselves a ticket to that semifinal, and what a banger game one it was, Bonfire. We got a great Syndra performance, a great Aatrox performance. The Aatrox won out, and now maybe both of those champions are on the ban list.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I'd imagine the Aatrox Syndra, maybe not so. I think there's a lot more you can do to Syndra in lane to really stun her performance. And so I'm not sure if they're as worried about that. Aatrox just feels like there's just nothing you can ever do to make him a weak champion. He's strong in the early, he's strong in the late, strong team fight. He's a good split pusher. You know, I imagine he's got good skins as well. I don't know. I don't play him. Is there anything wrong with Aatrox? He's the first champion when you look up League of Legends champions in the alphabet. So
he's got
Aatrox.
a whole. He does. He's cheating at that a little bit, to be fair.
This is for
but
double A.
But you know, he's there's a group, there's a subset of the league community that's really upset that he's not just an auto attack bot anymore. So you know, he does have that point going against him a little bit, but he's a fun rework. I think he's overall been pretty successful, even though he might be a little bit competitively busted at the time. He's a bunch of fun. He gave us the Shy clip a couple of years ago. You gotta give my man Aatrox some credit. He's a good champion all around. I'm happy to have him as one of our little evergreen top laners there.
Yeah, I think actually, if we're gonna get a little off topic, I think my favorite champion that always pops up and is super fun to watch. I've always been a Gangplank guy. I don't know what it is. Something about getting a good barrel chain that just blows up the squishies late game. It's so satisfying. You've got the Suning versus G2 clip from 2021 where Bin just pops the back line. I don't know, man. Gangplank hits me in my soft spot. But I like Aatrox too. I'm a big fan.
They're good. A good couple of top laners here. Let's see what ends up locked in here. 1Life2Play bans up Aatrox. First ban on the blue side. They're done. He's out of there. They don't want to deal with this anymore.
Yeah, I mean, what? They're banning Aatrox? That's so crazy. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. And I think it's the right thing to do. I wonder if we're gonna have an anti-Aatrox fan club. You know, maybe GHU goes for a quick rework of their name. Although Yumi's also pretty strong right now, so you know.
True. But it's fine. Aatrox, it's not like you. Aatrox will get a couple of nerfs. His win rate will go down 1 or 2%, and then all will be forgiven. Yumi. No such luck.
She's Yumi. She's a counter.
Will never be forgiven. Yumi can have a 40% win rate, and everybody still hates Yumi. That's just how it is. So,
that's true.
With that said, that one's going to be banned away as well. 1Life2Play going to install the Syndra, so that one ends up coming through. They're very satisfied with how it was able to perform in that game number 1. Got a little outroamed by Pee-wee on the Rise, I will say, but was able to pull it back and was able to have some fantastic team fights very shortly afterwards. I'm very happy to see this one locked in for Kaipo a second time.
Kaipo on the Syndra. It's always a pleasure to watch blowing up the squishies, and I thought Kaipo played it about as well as you can when you're going into that level of Fed as an Aatrox. But like I said, Miami probably has a way to deal with this if they're not banning it, and they feel like it's the Sylas that is really strong into the Syndra. And I mean, I feel like you could understand why, right? You get onto that Syndra, Scatter of the Weak, sure, but there's 2 ways to get on top of her. You W her, she pushes you away, and then you just use your chains to get back on top of her, and you have the ultimate that you can steal from her as well. And so they feel like Sylas is the answer. That is yet to be seen. Meanwhile, 1Life2Play just completely doubling down on team fights with the Hecarim and the Kennen. They're saying we just weren't team fighting well enough. You know, screw the cross map. We just need to team fight better. The Kennen and the Hecarim along with the Syndra. That is a dangerous team fight. And Miami say we just need to double down on the cross map with the Camille.
Yeah, for sure here. And, I think part of that is also seeing the Kennen, right? Because you take the Kennen, you maybe get in a little assumption in your head that Sejuani's a top laner. Everybody knows that these picks are flex picks on paper, but when you start seeing, when you just played a game against Sejuani top, it's a little easy to tunnel your vision there a little bit and think, nah, it's probably going to be Sejuani in the top lane. Camille is a counter pick to the Kennen. Not the strongest in the first couple of levels, but later on, once she's able to lock him down, assuming that she hasn't fallen too far behind from some Hecarim ganks, she's really going to be able to challenge that little Yordle to a one-on-one and probably come out a little bit unfairly on top more often than not. Meanwhile, though, this likely means that it's going to be a Sejuani in the jungle, has the double melees to support it in mid and top. Really like that setup for a Sejuani in the jungle, but does mean that we're going to see a little bit of a change of pace than that Poppy going to be having access to a little bit more long-range engage and a little bit less disengage.
Yeah, and I mean, I gotta say again, I love this cross map style from Miami. It won them the game last game with Pee-wee just continuously pushing in with the Aatrox again, just forcing rotations. And when you've got a Camille and a Silas, it can win it again. I also think you've just given Silas two of the best ults in the game. Like Kennen and Hecarim ult, are you kidding me? Meanwhile, in the bot lane, I've heard your ooh. The Caitlyn, there's no Lux ban, there's no Morgana ban. Like, this can be an incredibly strong bot lane as well. Miami, I feel like have a very strong comp, but I don't hate 1Life2Play either. So, I mean, this is why they're both playoff teams, right? Both of these comps are very competitive.
Yeah, for sure. I really like Caitlyn, especially in this kind of 1-3-1 setup. Gives you another lane to play through in the early game, means you're going to be able to get that priority in the bottom lane, going to be able to rotate around, going to be able to take control of mid, which is where you want to be able to end up in a lot of these situations. And it also means that, if Silas and Camille, they're going to be out in the side lanes, everybody always wants to look into, oh, you need all this disengaged power, you need all this mobility to play the 1-3-1, or you could just have like 100 more range than everybody else on the other team. That's a disengaged in and of itself. She's disengaging all the time because she's just farther away than all the other champions are. Samira, she's a little bit on the other side of that coin. She's going to be looking to play aggressively in this bottom lane. They are not going to seed up against what could be a Caitlyn Lux duo. They're going to say, no, we're going to throw down with the Samira Nautilus.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, right? You're going to want to go into it. The Leona being hovered right now would actually give Miami a lot more team fighting than I think they have, right? You have the Sejuani, but the Leona also gives you the ability to get those picks, and you're not really too worried about AP damage when you've got the Silas, so I like the Leona pick. It does mean that Caitlyn isn't going to have the shielding that a Lux might possibly give. There's also no Black Shield that a Morgana might not, so you're trading a bit of the disengage and the health of the Caitlyn over, but man, the engage from Miami is really not bad. Camille, Silas, Sejuani, Leona, Caitlyn free hitting on the back line. Miami has constructed themselves actually quietly, I think, a fairly strong team fighting comp as well, along with very competitive split laners.
Yeah, absolutely here. I really like what they've put themselves together here over on the side of Miami. And, I wasn't even sold on their comp in game one, and that worked out fantastically. And once again, I think giving this counter matchup to I Stole Christmas, based on how game one played out, this feels like it's a great recipe for success for them. They were able to play through the top lane really effectively. They were able to he was able to get ahead on his own. He's able to stay ahead with assistance from the jungle. He's able to avoid giving over the big shutdowns and letting the other team back in. He was able to transition that lead into the bottom lane to start winning some more team fights, and he is able to carry it through to finish off the game. I think that's every little bit that you want to be able to play through the top lane. It's a little harder of a game plan to execute on paper than just going bot lane, getting double kills all day long and winning through dragon stacking, but they've succeeded with it in game number one. They're going to go back to that game plan in game number two, and I think that's a great call.
Yeah, and I think you highlighted it perfectly, right? When you are as strong of a player as I Stole Christmas, suddenly you have to worry about this Kennen falling behind, because when a Sejuani falls behind, I think there's always a way for that champion to get back into the game. When you're going tank, you just got to get an item or two under your belt, and you can use that engage to, get your team into a good position. But man, a Kennen who's behind is useless. There's absolutely nothing that this Kennen can do very well. The ultimate is good, sure, for locking people up, but I think half of the ultimate is the damage that it provides. And so there's just it really hurts if the cannon is out of this game. And so I think I Stole Christmas, if there's another stomp in the top side through the laning phase like we saw last game, I think there's genuine concern for 1Life2Play. And so they need to focus, or Spizzyvert needs to focus on the top side, and that means you're ignoring the Caitlyn Leona lane, which is, again, also a very strong lane.
Yeah, my other concern for 1Life2Play is who's really frontlining in this team. Is it going to be the tank Hecarim with the Turbo Chem Tank build? Because that build's been nerfed quite a few times. They've really been trying to kind of push Hecarim into a more kind of carry-centric or at least bruiser-centric comp. Yeah, you got Nautilus, and who probably has Aftershock, although a lot of folks like to take the glacial augment these days as well. But he's going to be on a support's budget. He's not going to be able to really be that pure primary frontliner that you want, at least in a lot of situations. And if Hecarim's going for the kind of bruiser build that Riot Games wants you to go for, if he's going to build that Triforce or that Eclipse and go for that setup, you've got W. W's a little busted, but not quite as busted as it may have once been. So I'm not all that excited about Hecarim as your kind of main front line with Nautilus as your backup, or vice versa, if you want to call it that. It feels like it's going to be tough to execute on these team fights if you're at risk of getting one shot by Caitlyn, Silas, or Camille. And I think they're all going to be pretty close to that territory up against this Nautilus and this Hecarim.
Yeah, I think also important to talk about, we talked about how if I Stole Christmas can get ahead, it can be incredibly strong for Miami, and wants to do that. Go in with the Ignite instead of the Flash. You see that on a lot of aggressive Camille players. I think when you're going into a lane where you have this counter pick, it's 100% warranted. If it was into a Darius or something else, I maybe wouldn't like it as much, but, go try to win that lane. Don't try to go even, and so I like it. I like the early aggression.
For sure here. So let's get some predictions in here again, Bonfire. Who are you favoring for this game number 2?
Well, if you talk about statistically what I said for the whole series, it doesn't make any sense, but if I'm just going off of draft, if I'm just going off of how the last game went, I'm going against myself before the series started, and I'm going to go Miami again. I love how they split up the map, and I think they've allotted themselves a very good champ pool for that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm right there with you. Based on what we saw in game number 1 and how these drafts have gone, this is the same teams playing. We just saw how these kind of compositional setups worked out in game number 1. And I kind of think Miami have maybe even executed it a little bit better here this time around. They've got the Sejuani on their side. There's no Aatrox throwing a wrench into the mix. They've got the counter pick on the top side this time around. I love it. I'm going Miami University for sure. All right, well, with that said, we're going to throw it to another break here while we get loaded into game number 2. We will see you guys on the other side as Miami University looks to get themselves to match point up against 1Life2Play.
Like, where, like, the cleavage is? Where, like, the boobs touch? Or supposed to touch?
No, I've never touched a woman.
Cat Everfrost U's not gonna quite hit. There goes a 5-man shield there. Redhawks going to get caught up in the baby cage. That's going to be a 3-man shockwave in the backline with a big face breaker. That's going to be a showstopper right there.
can't get slowed when he was in Pike D. I have TP, I have TP. Nice. Okay. Okay, then. I'm gonna try to get you the penta also.
Welcome back, everybody, to tonight's broadcast for the Risen Divine League, where 1Life2Play are looking for their first win up against Miami University. Redhawks are, of course, going to be looking to take us to match point here. They've got themselves Sejuani stolen away from the other team, this time in the jungle. And we've got maybe versus 5 here at level 1. The hook gonna come through from Fox. They're gonna focus him down, though. He just gets blown up. Doesn't have the resistances with the Glacial Augment, and that's going to be first blood picked up by Militant, and that's a big advantage for Miami as they're just stepping forward. Militant from the bushes, firing out the Piltover Peacemakers, getting the stacks for headshot. So powerful in these kind of level 1 scenarios. Hecarim has to ghost, and Miami draw first blood.
I didn't like it. It made me so nervous. I'm not a fan of those early 5v5s. Oh man, that made me so nervous. But at the end of the day, it's Miami who is able to take away from that. Really, there's no way of knowing who's going to win those. You could say, oh, my champion's really good in the early game, but it just all comes down to who everybody focuses first. And Miami was able to all focus onto the Nautilus, as he was the one who walked first into the bush, who was first spotted out. And he's the first to die in the game. First blood given over to Militant, and you highlighted that perfectly. Man, that is difficult for the side of 1Life2Play now.
Yeah, it's rough in the momentum department as well. You're coming off of a loss in game number 1. Starting off game number 2 on the back foot definitely does not feel good, especially up against this Caitlyn Leona lane. That extra gold being on the Caitlyn, she hasn't gotten to spend it yet. So, it's not going to make all the difference in this early laning phase. But once she gets to spend it, if she gets onto that Noon Quiver power spike or anything way earlier than Boomer to Walrus, gonna feel really tough.
If you're a 1Life2Play fan right now, all you're looking at is the fact that Militant does not have a flash and Boomer to Walrus does. So early aggression, like you talked about, this Caitlyn did not pick up that item. Early aggression will go over to the side of 1Life2Play. The thing is, as we are going to watch I Stole Christmas Miss, the thing is, I don't know if they know that. There was so much going on in that early fight. I don't know if they know who flashed and who didn't. And so right now they're getting pushed in. They don't look like they want to fight at all.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's real easy for us from our high tower of spectate mode to act like all these players have access to all the information in the world. But, if nobody clocked that flash took place, you're not going to know for sure. And there was a lot of violence going on in that game. A lot of flashes getting blown in that early engagement. And you can't be 100% sure who knows what.
Yeah, and so, maybe they do know, maybe they're trying to push away, but just looking at how Fox and Boomer to Walrus are playing this early game out, it really feels like they don't know that there's no flash onto this Caitlyn, or they feel like they don't win that early fight, but I don't know, with a Nautilus and a Samira, it really, I think they possibly could if they got onto Militant, but they don't feel comfortable enough going in, but now that Spizzyvert is here, they might.
Looking like they are at least partially aware of the flash cooldown differential, but Beans going to get a nice escape there with the Zenith Blade into flash combo, and Spizzyvert takes a huge chunk of damage from stepping onto that trap and from getting the Piltover Peacemaker right to his horse face. It is going to be a big win for Miami to be able to survive that first spot lane gank from the Hecarim.
You said it perfectly before the game had even started. The best disengage is just having more range. Militant playing so far back that they had to go into the Leona instead. They do get the flash out for the Leona, so that does mean that it is a flashless bot lane for at least another minute, but I'm not sure if they want to go for a re-engage because Militant is just pushing out so much damage, and now that there's a back being able to be put down from Militant, it's going to be even more damage.
Ooh, this is really rough for a Kaipo. He doesn't have TP. He got his recall interrupted. Now he would end up losing the whole wave if he went for it here. But Evil Lobster, with Aftershock and Flash in tow, is curling around behind him. Could threaten a dive. Looks like he's just going to go for the invade instead.
Gonna lose the wave though right now, unless Pee-wee is not able to push this in quick enough, and actually doesn't look like he wants to push this. Wants to actually have it push into him. Maybe lose some, have a Kaipo lose some minions just from the wave. But he's going to lose a lot of that wave as now there might be another thing bot.
Well, Fox coming in, doesn't manage to get the staggering blow, though. Goes in for the hook. He will lock down its Beans. Nowhere for Beans to go. He will end up falling down. And a nice little move to try to escape there. Nice stun to prevent the Nautilus Passive from coming through, but he will drop at the end of the day. But Poggle now up a little bit far is going to flash away, but the stun is coming through from the Sejuani. Flash in, doesn't get the auto, but does get the ignite from I Stole Christmas. And that's going to be a kill for Camille, but she drops to the turret shot. 1 for 1 in the top lane.
Just wasn't expecting the damage that was going to be pushed out from that turret, and that was because Evil Lobster had tanked out some of those turret shots, and man, that last turret shot did so much damage, and the minions are able to just finish it off. And so I think you feel comfortable if you're Poggle, you're absorbing a lot of the pressure, you're up in CS. Kaipo might not feel comfortable here though.
Yeah, no, the abduct didn't quite land there, but it doesn't look like it matters. The chain CC with the roam up from its Beans. Fantastic there. Pee-wee will be able to pick up the first kill of the mid lane up against a Kaipo, capitalizing on that flash being down.
Yeah, and it's great from Beans right there. Both Beans and Fox were roaming, and so it's not like there was a push that you lost in the bot side by roaming out. I Stole Christmas, this is a huge wave that he has to get, but Poggle's just going to be able to poke him out, unless there's a fight going to go down.
Lost the siege there, worth pointing out. A little bit of a oopsie there, not able to pick it up with the tactical sweep. Does tick over to level 6, so feels a little bit better in his brawling capacity up against Poggle. Being down that skill was a pretty big deal for about a second there. It doesn't end up making the difference this time.
Yeah, so there's no flash on either top laners. Again, both of these supports roaming there means that neither AD carry really got super far ahead because both of them decided to roam at the same time. Boomer to Walrus actually took a lot of minion damage there, but feels comfortable enough on the Samara. And Spizzy Vert, again, no flash on its Beans, just wants to try to bully this Leona.
Yeah, they are going to go in for this engage. Evil Lobster is en route, showing up from behind the turret. It's Beans going to get locked down, but they focused in onto Militant. The backwards dash from that 90 caliber net, and now Evil Lobster there to frontline for the rest of the team. Very tanky, especially with that aftershock. Meanwhile, a Kaipo finds an angle on I Stole Christmas in the top lane and gets that kill up against the Camille. Will be a successful gank for the side of 1Life2Play on the top side, even on the bottom.
Yeah, but keep an eye on Pee-wee right now. Actually doesn't want... I was curious if he was going to wait and tow in the jungle and possibly try to go for a one-on-one on Spizzy Vert, but doesn't feel comfortable enough going for that as the ultimate actually just ticks over for Spizzy Vert, just gets 6, so worried about getting feared out. Nothing to be done there, but how about a Kaipo? Just able to roam up, down a level onto Pee-wee, but it doesn't matter when you get that kill on I Stole Christmas, and this is just not what we expected. I Stole Christmas down 8 CS and is down an assist. Ooh, but here we go.
Poggle getting locked down by I Stole Christmas's ultimate and doing so much work here with that precision protocol. 1 or 2 more autos will close it out, but it doesn't look like he's going to find it. Pee-wee brawling with a Kaipo coming out on top there. He was feeling pretty bad for a second as they both returned to the mid lane, but now coming out on top in the trade, Evil Lobster camping in the bottom lane once again here, clearing out vision, making sure that Boomer and Fox do not feel comfortable.
Still not level 6 on the Sejuani though, and so a lot of that engage really hinges on that ultimate from the Sejuani, and so without this ultimate, I mean, just trying to go for an invade, but again, you need 6, just not able to get 6, possibly could steal Raptors right here, just waiting along toe, and here we go, he is going to steal Raptors. I imagine 6 is going to tick over, just based on the game state. I really have no way of knowing, but now the ganks from Evil Lobster, yep, I was correct, now the ganks from Evil Lobster are going to feel a lot more deadly.
Yeah, absolutely here. That's what he's looking for. He's going to have access now to that glacial prison, and that's going to do a lot of work to whoever he manages to lock down. You know, these guys not going to have access to a whole bunch of blinks in their kit, not going to be the most mobile. Yeah, you could delete it as Boomer to Walrus with your W, but as long as that doesn't happen, it's going to be super valuable in whatever gank it ends up in. Meanwhile, Spizzy Vert, he wants to start off on this Rift Herald, and looks like he should be able to grab it. He's got priority in mid and top as well.
Yeah, this is oh man, that feels bad. That feels bad for Evil Lobster because already the jungle disparity is so large. You look at the CS difference, that is a 30 CS difference, and a kill has gone over to Spizzy Vert. Could go for a steal right here, though, and
He
indeed
gets
he
it.
does.
He snags it away. Can't quite pick up the eye. Can he find an angle in there? Not calling down I Stole Christmas. Can he sneak in and just pick it on up? Looking to focus down the damage. Spizzy Vert pretty far up. They are going to go in with Pee-wee. Poggle locks him down with the Slicing Maelstrom and will be able to pick up the kill for a Kaipo. Pee-wee manages to pick up the Eye of the Herald. They now have access to that tool, but now the focus coming through onto Spizzy. He will drop to Pee-wee and now focus down onto Poggle. He'll fall as well. Double kill goes to Pee-wee in the mid lane, and they get themselves a huge win for the side of Miami.
Yeah, it looked so good early on. Poggle with a massive Chaos Storm from Kennen just did so much damage onto everybody. But at the end of the day, it took way too long to kill Evil Lobster. And Pee-wee is just such a monster on this Sylas. We thought that he was good on the rise. You should see his Sylas, man. 3-0-1 in the early game. And again, I talked about the ultimates he can steal later in the game. This Kennen ultimate, which usually is restricted to the champion itself, is suddenly now going to be in Miami's arsenal. You talk about the ultimate that this Hecarim has. You talk about the ultimate. Whoa. Wow. You talk about the ultimate of Nautilus. Sorry, it's just so strong.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It is. I'm blown away by that Abscond Abduct, but can't talk about it too long as Spizzy Vert is coming into the bottom lane once again. Nice dredge line into the wall, looking to lock down on a Militant. Does manage to land a depth charge, but he's under the turret. He's found himself at this little angle of safety, and now here comes the pig, Evil Lobster, looking for this big engage onto the rest of the team.
Pee-wee.
They've sectioned off Fox. He's definitely going to be dropping, but what else can Pee-wee make happen? Boomer to Walrus channels the Inferno trigger, but just gets run down by the Onslaught of Shadows, and Fox gets locked down by one more Zenith Blade from Beans. Militant picks up that kill, and in a gank that 1Life2Play started, they lose 0-2.
They knew a Kaipo wasn't there. They were so aware that a Kaipo had just backed, and with Pee-wee along in tow, they needed him just at the very end. Pee-wee's going to get this entire tower by himself, and so Pee-wee is 100% the issue that you have to watch out for if you're 1Life2Play. This is a ginormous Sylas. I'd love to see the gold real quick. Yeah, you look at the gold. 6,000 gold. No one else is even at 5,000.
He's absolutely massive here. An absolute unit, you might say, for Pee-wee here. Fantastic roam into the bottom lane, picks up a huge advantage, gets himself 2 kills on the top lane, and also cashing in on that Rift Herald he picked up earlier. Solo first turret gold. So much money in Pee-wee's pocket. He goes right for the recall. He's got his first item. He's got 8 stacks on the Dark Seal. He's a menace.
Most CS in the game, most gold in the game by at least a 1,500 to 2,000 margin. 4-0-1. This is Pee-wee's game. We're all just living in it. They just have to play around Pee-wee in this game if you're 1Life2Play.
Yeah, and they're going to do even a little bit more here as they're going to lock down. It's going to be a Kaipo picking up the first kill of the fight on the I Stole Christmas. Evil Lobster, though, is looking to finish off. Will be able to get it. It's a 2-for-1 once again. Pee-wee arrives to the fight, and that means the fight is over 12 minutes in as Militant now brawling it out with Spizzy Vert going to have to flash away. A great predict on the dredge line from Fox. Gets big shutdown gold onto his Hecarim exactly where you want it. This is going to be a damage-centric Hecarim build, but now they're looking to start onto the mid lane turret. Evil Lobster's arrived. As you said, they can't do this. Pee-wee's over the wall, and Pee-wee's about to show you how much damage he's built up for himself. Fox is going to drop down, and Boomer to Walrus is going to be the next target. Pee-wee goes dominating. Spizzy Vert has to retreat back to his own jungle, and that's 2 more kills given over to the side of Miami for just a turret plate.
It's a fantastic job killing that Caitlyn, but they saw everyone in the top lane in that previous fight. They lost members from it. I'm so surprised they decided to stick around that long because it was just easy enough for Miami to just roam down and completely catch them all off guard. That's 2 free kills given over to Miami. Now this Sylas is 6-0-2, an absolute menace. You talk about that. That's 10 Darksteel stacks at less than 14 minutes. 6-0-2, 107 CS. Pee-wee, and again, you talk about the ultimate usage of Pee-wee. That ultimate was used so well when he took the Hecarim ult to get a kill on the bot lane. And right there, the Nautilus, stolen Nautilus ult, was again used perfectly to lock up Boomer to Walrus. I'm just blown away by how well Pee-wee has played this game.
Sure here. Now, running out of options here, it feels like, for 1Life2Play. Like, they're getting a little bit of gold into Hecarim. Yeah, their Syndra is pretty strong, but nothing compared to Pee-wee. Pee-wee has just blown this game wide open. You gotta believe he's gonna have the money for Magi's here pretty soon. He's gotten like 3 kills since the last time he recalled. He probably has another whole item. There's the Magi's.
Wow. Yeah, you highlighted it perfectly. Pee-wee, just ascending to an entirely new range of Fed, as we like to say in League of Legends, just completely blowing everyone else out of this game. And we talk about the split push comp that Miami has drafted for themselves. Who do you have to go against Pee-wee in the side lanes? I imagine you have to throw a Kaipo and just tell him to try to farm at a safe distance. But, man, it is difficult, especially if Pee-wee is able to steal an ultimate, but this might do it.
Fox finds a good angle onto Militant there. The damage here is fantastic. And they're just going to blow him right up. It's Beans doesn't land the ultimate onto anybody there. But now in the side lane, it's Poggle up against I Stole Christmas. Great dodge on the Lightning Shuriken. Slicing Maelstrom is just not going to be enough. And Poggle's about to drop in the side lane. Pee-wee going to do the exact same thing to a Kaipo. And the side lanes for Miami are coming up clutch. Now a big fight in the jungle. Shutdown comes through for Pee-wee as he just carves his way through Boomer to Walrus. A great Inferno trigger angle. But you just can't sustain through the damage that this mid laner is pumping out. That's going to be a big fight win for Miami.
Yeah, you lose the side lane in bot, you lose the side lane in top, and then you end up losing the team fight, and that is just demoralizing. You have built yourself a fantastic team fight comp, but you don't have any dragons. You're going to lose another Herald. You're just not getting fights that you want if you're the side of 1Life2Play, and you drafted yourself a comp where that was the win condition, that you fought on your own conditions. They're just being dragged around the map right now to take fights that they do not feel comfortable in. It's so difficult for them because sometimes if you're down a lot of gold, your team comp can hopefully get yourself back into it, but it almost feels doomed because again, you don't have the dragons. How do you force them to take fights?
For sure.
We're gonna watch
this fight breaking out on the top side, and just excellently played by Pee-wee on top of his absolutely absurd gold lead. Plays it very well too. Gets the lockdown, and now the setup coming through here for the rest of the team. It's just an easy fight win from there.
Yeah, and again, Boomer to Walrus, right? It's a team fighting AD carry that you've drafted in Samira. You see him dashing in right there, and that's just exactly where you don't want to be with Pee-wee in this game. But unfortunately, that's the champion that you've drafted, and so that's just kind of what you have to do. You would love to have that Varus right now, but they're looking for more.
Yeah, and with the stolen away depth charge, they're going to find more. The lockdown coming through from the Everfrost Fox is certainly going to be the first one to drop as Pee-wee goes legendary. 24 stacks on the Magi's. Forget how big the gold lead is. It's even bigger in, a little invisible money there as he's got all this free AP from all the kills he's been able to pick up. Militant carves through that turret, and Poggle is in between a rock and several other hard places. He is going down. It's Bean steals away the kill, and it's going to be a 5 versus 3 on the map.
I Stole Christmas is just taking all of this damage and still wants this fight.
Oh, the shield on the magic damage comes up clutch there from the Camille passive, but it's not quite going to be enough. He dives in, and he will be able to get it, but it's a 1-for-1, and now this is a teleport in for Pee-wee. Pee-wee's going to be in a 1 versus 3 situation, steals away the ultimate. He's going in for it. He wants it all. Bonfire. He dives in and trades 1-for-1 with Boomer to Walrus. That's a little disappointing.
Yeah, I was expecting a Hecarim ult to safety, but Pee-wee feeling himself loses a lot of Magi stacks, so I think if you're looking at it from an analytical standpoint, you have to chalk that one up as a bad decision, but when you're ahead this much gold and with this team comp that you've drafted yourselves, I think you can allow yourself a little bit of fun. We do a little having fun, as we like to say in the industry. Pee-wee wanted to have a little bit of fun right there, and just goes back, dies, and says, you know what, I'm just going to build myself an item and get a large rod, because I have that much money.
Love the dancing pigs there on the recall. Thank you to production for zooming us in there. It's a great Sejuani skin. Sejuani! We talked about Aatrox having skins earlier. Sejuani, peak skin champion. The Poro Rider Sejuani, great skin. The Chinese New Year Sejuani, great skin. All around, just some great selections available for this character. The Bear Rider one, that one's great too.
That might be the best skin.
Yeah.
I mentioned it earlier, but I don't think I talked about it in depth. Big Sejuani guy. I've never really had a OTP. I've always kind of, had a lot of champions I enjoyed. Sejuani might be my new OTP. I quite enjoy her. She's a lot of fun.
Sure, for sure. I'm a fan. I've enjoyed myself some Sejuani in the past for sure. We'll be picking up this dragon. That's only dragon number 2. We've really been ignoring the dragon game
throughout a lot of this match in favor of fighting. And, you know, can't blame Miami for that one. As the lockdown comes through onto Spizzy, they know that this Hecarim might be a little bit squishy. The chain CC is actually pretty good. The Zenith Blade doesn't land. Poggle channels the ultimate and is forced to flash away back to his team. That's not how you're hoping the Kennen fights go.
No, and now Pee Wee has the ultimate as well, so time to see what Pee Wee can do with this ultimate. I've been hyping up all game. He's been stealing all different types of ultimates. Hasn't got the, here we go.
Dive in from I Stole Christmas. They're just going to lock down on a Poggle. There's nowhere he can go. He's stuck in the corner of the Hextech Ultimatum. And now 5 versus 4 on the map. Militant a little bit caught, getting chased down by Spizzy Vert. He's just going to play this one out as slow as he can, buy himself as much time as possible while his team just ransacks the enemy base. He will drop down to that Hecarim, but it's at the cost of a bot lane inhibitor.
Yeah, they lose bot lane inhibitor. I think it's good for Spizzy Vert to get the kill. You never want to just leave it. But now Spizzy Vert, again, has to be careful with this map and does pay them the respect that they deserve. He could have been collapsed on right there if he decided to stay. But no, I mean, you highlighted it perfectly, right? It's just how do you deal with this team comp? How do you try to fight this? The Dragons haven't been the focus of the game, and that's because it really has felt like Miami has dictated the pace of this game, just taking fights that they feel comfortable with. I'm sure 1Life2Play would like to change that. Golly! Would like to change that? That is insane.
Now, that is, you know, if you've been out of the league scene for a little bit and you remember, like, Release Silas, they have poured a lot of Silas's damage into that Q detonate. But oh boy, that's way too much. I just can't stand for that. Not in my League of Legends. Not in my house.
Hashtag not my League of Legends.
Yeah, no, that's a little crazy. You know, Boomer to Walrus, he steps in the wrong spot. He loses half his HP. And he's going for the recall.
You have to. You have to. Pee Wee, by the way, lost 10 of his Magi stacks right there. Just got him back. You know, just back to 23 again. Feels comfortable enough just losing them and getting them back. And now they just go for Baron because 100% there's nothing that 1Life2Play can do. I mean, look at how dark the map is. They have no idea where anybody is. They have no idea if they're doing it. And now they're all going to die.
Pee Wee looking to one-shot Poggle. He actually takes a lot here. He has to flash away. He's got the depth charge on top of it, steals it right back. Now looking to turn this back around. Evil Lobster has dropped over on the other side. It's a trade of jungler for jungler so far. Meanwhile, in this two-pronged fight, Miami is winning on the top side, but what about the bottom side? Pee Wee and its Beans trying to fight their way through this one. Pee Wee very low and wants to avoid losing the rest of his Magi stacks, but there's the angle he was looking for onto Boomer to the Walrus. Inferno Trigger gets a lot of work done, but Pee Wee manages to cut him down in time. And now Fox is going to be the next target. I Stole Christmas diving in with the hook shot. It's Beans there for the lockdown, and the teleport back from Pee Wee should actually solidify this game in their favor. Mortal Kombat at the top lane. Fox in a very unfair fight, in a very unfair game, where Miami is going to end up taking it and bringing themselves to match point.
Yeah, Miami just said that last game was a little too close as Pee Wee just flexing his damage a little bit. I cannot believe some of that Q damage. Just flexing his damage a little bit, but Miami just left nothing to the imagination right there. A 22-minute game right there. Trying to let us out early, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely here. And, you know, it was pretty close in the mid lane for quite a while, actually. They were super evenly matched in the early game. Both had some ganks come on through, but neither was getting too far ahead. And the roams for a little bit there really felt like they were favoring a Kaipo. You know, they had that moment. They come back to the mid lane. They're like kids coming back with their Halloween candy. And they're like, hey, Kaipo says, hey, what'd you get? I got a kill in the top lane. and you know, you have to just be a little bit sad there on Pee Wee's side. You're like, I got vision on the enemy top lane jungler. I didn't get anything. But then he picks up 2 kills in the Rift Herald fight. He picks up the Rift Herald in the Rift Herald fight. Picks up 2 more kills in bot lane. Picks up the entire first turret. And then he's off to the races. He's unstoppable from that point, and he carries it through for the rest of the game.
Yeah, the gold acquired is just, I mean, you look at the gold acquired from every champion in the game. You look at Pee Wee, you know, about 14,000 gold, feels pretty good. Nobody else got 9,000. Nobody else in the game other than the Camille, who got just over 9,000. So, yeah, that's a little bit of a difference in the gold disparity, and because of that, Pee Wee, 26,000. No one else even had 15,000 damage. Pee Wee, I mean, it's the Pee Wee show. It's the Pee Wee Herman show, and he is the star.
Hi, everybody.
Exactly.
No.
The word of the day is Silas.
Ooh, it certainly is. And you know, I gotta say, I was thinking I was getting proved a little bit wrong on the Rise after game 1, but I feel like this feels like it was training weights off. You know, maybe the Rise is just as bad as I thought it was. Let's get some meta champions for Pee-wee for the rest of this series.
I want to see. I want to see Pee-wee on. I want to see him Doinby this game. I just want to see him on like a Malphite or something, just to really
Nautilus
test
mid?
him. Oh man, please, just no. Jokes aside, an unbelievable game from Pee-wee, but you know, just like we talked about with I Stole Christmas in game 1, that doesn't happen if he doesn't have the pieces around him. I feel like the rest of the team also played to his strengths, and Pee-wee just was the sole benefactor.
Absolutely here. Fantastic game number 2 there from Miami. A lot cleaner than their game number 1. Really just running away with that one from that first fight win that they had. Even from level 1, really, where they got themselves a lead on the Caitlyn early on. Fantastic performance all around, and now with their backs against the wall, 1Life2Play, they've got to come up with something here to pull themselves back into the series. They have to win 3 in a row to keep their Risen Divine League chances alive. We'll see if they're able to do it in a couple of minutes. We're going to throw it to another break while we get ready for draft number 3. We will see you guys there.
Like, you know where like the cleavage is, where like the boobs touch? Or supposed to touch?
No, I've never touched a woman.
Cat Everfrost used not gonna quite hit. There goes a 5-man shield there. Redhawks going to get caught up in the baby cage. That's going to be a 3-man shockwave in the backline with a big face breaker. That's going to be a showstopper right there. That's
Can't get slowed when he was in Pike's D. I have tissue, I have tissue. Nice. Okay. Okay then. I'm gonna try to get you the penta also. You have one more? You can't die with blue. Some good dog.
You can go. I mean, I have flash in a second.
Oh my god! Have any teleports on the side of CCW. They might try to go for a pick here. Box Prime has to be careful. Doesn't know they're all there. This could be the pick they want, but you have to be careful as well, though. They're gonna burst him down. Box Prime dies before anyone else can go in. They don't get the second call of the force guy, and here we go. Here comes the Vlad. Keep an eye on the Vlad. Vlad on the back line. There's a double knockout. Keep an eye on the Vlad. Vlad gets one of them. Vlad's able to get 2 of them unbound. He's gonna survive on the back end of it, but they're gonna be able to kill the Anivia. And there's 2 dead on the side of CCW. Can they get more? There's the Vlad. Can they get the knockup on Asthmatic Boy? Can he get the blast kill? No, he can't. He's gonna fall incredibly low. They're gonna keep going in. Team Shooter is gonna be able to get the root. They're gonna try to find more. They're gonna find everyone. But there's the kill. Unbound. He's doing it all. Unbound is doing it all. Give it out. Unbound. Unbound's killing them all. Unbound is winning this game.
Okay. You guys good?
They're definitely gonna get it, but I think we win this one, guys.
Nice.
Oh my god.
Get it!
Welcome back, everybody, to tonight's broadcast of the Risen Divine League, where Miami University Redhawks are up 2-0 over 1Life2Play. They have just got to win one more match, and they will be facing off against Team Ambition next week. 1Life2Play, of course, they want to keep this night going. They want to play multiple games tonight, Bonfire, and to do that, at this point, you're going to have to start winning, and you're going to have to change up something. The first thing they're going to change, moving to red side.
Yeah, and I think it's a good pickup, right? Whenever you need just a little bit of a change of things, sometimes you just have to switch sides and kind of get a better of idea for the draft. And right now, that is what they're electing to do. And it's a lot of the same bands, though. Graves band, I don't hate it. Aatrox band, I love it.
Yeah, gotta keep the Aatrox band. The Graves band's been constant throughout the whole series. Miami's been taking that away. That, along with the Yuumi. And then they've just had like one goofy ban. All right, well, the Nautilus now is going to be the new one. They banned in game 1 it was Master Yi. In game 2 it was Talon.
It was Tom.
Yeah. Now they're like, all right, now you know what? We'll ban. Oh no, they're leaving up the Yuumi.
Oh no. Oh wait,
they're willing to first pick the Yuumi. Oh, it's putting all the pieces together, and they're going to force 1Life2Play to ban it.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of what 1Life2Play had as their third ban normally, because now it's been left open for Miami. So I mean, it'll be
Trundle is the answer.
Okay. Well, you don't first pick Trundle, so there's no concern about it. It's the Rise that's being hovered as the first pick. That would be an interesting first pick. I don't even know if that's, and yeah, they go for it. All right, Rise first pick, and we're looking like it's a quick run it back from game 1.
Yeah, I mean, I am in no position to criticize Pee-wee. I think he's had a pretty solid series tonight overall. I do question this a little bit. I think Silas is first pickable. I think he looked way better on the Silas than he looked on the Rise. Especially because I think you can pretty safely predict that 1Life2Play is just going to slam this Syndra. They've slammed it the first opportunity they've had. Yeah, they first picked it both games. So you know they're going to pick this. They love this. They've been picking it blind. They'll definitely pick it into your Rise. Yeah, but they just decided, you know what? We'll run that matchup back.
Yeah, 1Life2Play gonna go with the Lucian Nami. I'm interested to see if Miami wants to be a little annoying and pick up the Lucian, but the unfortunate thing with Lucian is he's just not really that good unless he has the Nami in tow. So I imagine they'll just let 1Life2Play go with the Lucian Nami and try to pick themselves up something in the bot lane to counter it, as it looked like it might be the Lulu. I would imagine Jinx or Sivir. Those are usually what you would go alongside the Lulu, but there are a whole host of different champions. Lulu can really play with anyone, and it looks like it might actually be the Ezreal. So I'm actually not sure I love that. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, to be fair, you mentioned stealing away the Lucian. If you don't have an Ami, Lulu Lucian with the 3 Lus is an option there. It's probably the second best you can do ever since I hate those Lucian changes. I'm just gonna say, like, it's so weird to dump so much of his power off his ultimate and his Q into like this invisible magic damage on his W. Super strange. And it means that Lucian Nami now are there. You know, he's gonna marry Nami next. Senna better watch her back based on how these duos have transpired over the last year.
Well,
they're gonna take them together once again.
Senna's gonna marry Tom Kench, so you know it's a beautiful.
You know what? You're right.
It's a double marriage. Hey, divorce.
Both of them. Yeah, look, both of them settle down with nice fish people. Good for the two of them. You know, who are we to judge?
Good for them. Yeah. Going back to the draft, I actually don't like. I've thought about it enough. I don't like Ezreal Lulu. I'm curious to see how it works out, but you often pick the Lulu when you have someone who is on hit, and the Ezreal you focus so much on hitting your Qs that I don't know if I love it. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. Also, the ultimate is really good for AD carries who don't have as much mobility. Ezreal does. So, I mean, we'll see how it goes. I think you pick the Lulu, so you have a little bit more laning phase prowess, but we'll see how it goes. And again, the bans, Master Yi being taken away again, Viego, Sejuani, we are gonna see not for the third game.
Talon too, yeah. I mean, Redhawks, either they're really messing around with these bans, or they really truly do worry themselves about this Talon and this Master Yi. I mean, the junglers locked in for 1Life2Play so far haven't been wild. You know, it was the or it was the Viego in game 1, it was the Hecarim in game 2, so they have been leaning themselves towards these carry-oriented junglers.
Yeah.
Talon and Master Yi, though, they're kind of a different breed. I mean, they're not really strictly in the meta right now, but they're definitely up that alley.
Yeah, the only other thing I could think is possibly if there was like a substitution that they got in trouble for, but we would have heard about it, so I don't imagine that's the issue. Yone being picked up for One Life to Play. Both of these teams, by the way, are just completely changing their strategies. The Rise is the really only consistent thing we've seen from Miami University, with the split pushing style. But man, other than that, I mean, One Life to Play, it's a complete change of pace. They no longer want that big team fight with Yone. You're looking for those 1v1s, those 1v2s. And Miami, as I say that, actually go back to that good old split pushing style. The Jacks, the Rise. Man, that is a good duo.
Yeah, and that's the counter pick once again for I Stole Christmas. Yeah, he's gonna be pretty happy with that one. He's had a fantastic performance this night so far. Has done really well when given these counter picks. Kind of ended up going even with the Kennen on the Camille, but once again, he's got the opportunity to make some big plays happen here. 1Life to Play, saving their last pick for the jungle. They're gonna go back to this Hecarim. This means they're even squishier than they were last game.
Yeah.
Up against the likes of a Jax, an Ezreal, a Rise. Feels like they're going to get cut through pretty quickly. Yeah, the Trundle doesn't have a great target to subjugate, but that's a good problem to have.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I love this from One Life to Play, and I think it just comes down to game 3. You feel the pressure. I mean, you've played in the Divine League for weeks at this point, and you've just been playing for that final pot of gold at the very end, right? You want that glory. You want your name on the mantle, and I'm sure the money that comes with it would be nice too. They don't want to go out too early, and so it feels like a lot of comfort picks, but I think you put it all together, and this makes a pretty interesting stew. It's just a lot of picks that don't feel like they go super well together. I'm curious how it all ends up. I mean, sometimes there are things that go really well that you don't expect, banana on a hamburger. But sometimes you put something together that you don't like, and I mean, we'll have to see, right? But so far, I'm actually not a huge fan.
I'm trying to figure out, are Miami trying to spell something with their bans? I don't think so.
They might be. Wait, hold on. Yeah.
Those are not the bans. Those are not the real bans. One Life to Play's bans also aren't the real bans beyond the Aatrox. So we're having some fun in game number 3. But the picks are the real picks, and the comps are the real comps. So at least we've got that to fall back on as Evil Lobster not having access to a really clear-cut target for his subjugate is a little bit of an advantage. An advantage, one might say, for One Life to Play. But he is still pretty good up against these melee ADs like the Hecarim and like the Yone. Especially Hecarim. When you get chomped, you lose AD and you lose movement speed, which if you're Hecarim, loses you AD and more AD. So really going to end up losing out on a lot of value when he starts getting bitten by Evil Lobster.
Also, correct me if I'm wrong, but a pillar stops the culling, correct?
No.
It doesn't? Okay, so because there's a tiny knockup, I know it stops Misfortune.
Oh, you mean like stops it from channeling? Yes, I do believe it does that. I was thinking you were like thinking it was like Akshan with the turret and it blocks the culling. That was like no, it doesn't do that. But it doesn't interrupt the channel. I do believe it does that.
So I think, I mean, there are small interactions with Trundle that I think are actually really quietly important to look at, and one of those is when you go to a Misfortune. I remember I was at Worlds, and every time a Misfortune ultimate would come up, there was, I think it was Peanut, who would just stop it. And it was so frustrating for the Misfortune. And it's the same thing with the Lucian, right? You want to just push out that damage, and suddenly, oh, there's a traffic cone that knocks me up half an inch, and suddenly I don't have all that damage that I normally do. So I'm actually curious if it's going to be an issue. It's just a small interaction that could end up mattering. We'll have to see.
For sure. All right, let's throw down the predictions for what may be the last time tonight, Bonfire. Are you feeling like One Life to Play? This is the comp they can pull back the series with?
I don't think it's a secret to say no. I talked about it earlier. I don't love their comp all pushed together. I'm not a fan of Ezreal Lulu either. But I just think, I mean, Jax is a great champion. You saw how Pee-wee played the Rise. I think there's a good enough tank when you've got the Trundle along with the Lulu alongside it. I just am a much bigger fan of Miami's comp.
Yeah, agree with you there. I'm gonna be rooting for Miami here, or I'm gonna at least gonna be picking them. You know, unbiased caster, but I'm going to be picking them as to take this 3-0. I know I'm on pace still for my original series prediction. I did guess 3-2 for 1Life2Play, but based on how these games have played out, it just feels like the Redhawks are well equipped to be able to win out on this. While I don't like Ezreal Lulu as a duo, I do like having Lulu as an answer against this kind of burst-heavy team comp with the Syndra, with the Yone. I think that's going to be pretty effective, and I think they're going to be able to take this one in 3. Well,
Awesome. Perfect.
with that said, we're going to throw it to another break. We're going to be on the Rift here before too long, and let's find out if Miami University Redhawks are going to take this in 3, or if we're sticking around for at least a game number 4.
Have any teleports on the side of CCW. They might try to go for a pick here. Box Prime has to be careful. Doesn't know they're all there. This could be the pick they want, but you have to be careful as well, though. They're going to burst him down. Box Prime dies before anyone else can go in. They don't get the second call of the force shot, and here we go. Here comes the Vlad. Keep an eye on the Vlad. Vlad on the back line. There's a double knockout. Keep an eye on the Vlad. Vlad gets one of them. Vlad's able to get 2 of them unbound. He's going to survive on the back end of it, but they're going to be able to kill the Anivia, and there's 2 dead on the side of CCW. Can they get more? There's the Vlad. Can they get the knockup on Asthmatic Boy? Can he get the blast kill? No, he can't. He's going to fall incredibly low. They're going to keep going in. Team Shooter is going to be able to get the root. They're going to try to find more. They're going to find everyone. But there's the kill. Unbound. He's doing it all. Unbound is doing it all. Give it out. Unbound. Unbound's killing them all. Unbound is winning this game.
Okay.
You guys good? Okay.
They're definitely gonna get it, but I think we win this one, guys.
Nice.
Oh my god.
Get it, get it, get it, get it!
Like, you know where like the cleavage is, where like the boobs touch? Or supposed to touch?
No, I've never touched a woman.
Cat Everfrost used not gonna quite hit. There goes a 5-man shield there. Redhawks going to get caught up in the baby cage. That's going to be a 3-man shockwave in the backline with a big face breaker. That's going to be a showstopper right there. That's
Welcome back, everybody, to tonight's broadcast for the Risen Divine League, where Miami University Redhawks are up 2-0 over 1Life2Play, 1 win away from getting themselves into the semifinals. And looking for a level 1, they've been successful in these so far, but this time, Evil Lobster and I Stole Christmas, they're the ones taking the damage. They're not dishing much out.
Yeah, I think it's a much earlier, or excuse me, a much later comp. Pee-wee, I Stole Christmas really don't do a lot as level 1 characters, and meanwhile, Yone's got 2 swords. It's better than 1 sword, so I think he feels fairly comfortable.
It is. One of them does magic damage. It's pretty nice. Pretty nice.
Does one of them actually do magic damage?
Yeah, Yone is passive.
Interesting. I didn't know that, and I learned something new today. Thank you.
There you go. Yeah, no, it's It's crazy how that guy comes together. I'm like wall looking it now myself to make sure I'm right, but I'm pretty
I
sure I'm right.
imagine you are. It makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. The Yaza connoisseur does magic damage. I'm right. I remember what the champions do sometimes. If the moon, if the state of the moon is correct and everything else. That's the new Trundle skin too. Love that Trundle skin. So it's not gonna be the traffic cone. It's gonna be the, I think it's like a weird like gothic clock tower thing.
interesting. That is a cool skin. I'm a big fan. Also, quietly, Yone, the first champion to come out since I started playing. I started playing in summer or spring of 2020. So Yone was the big new thing when I started. As I stole Christmas, just looking for a little poke on the old new champion at this point.
Very nice. Yeah, no, I'm ancient, dude. Like half the champions in the game are like, oh, these must be they feel like they came out yesterday. Half the champions in this game for sure feel like they came out yesterday. My first champ was Oriana.
Oh
It's
wow,
been a long time. I
that
stole
is
Christmas. He's looking to get aggressive here up against Poggle. He's going to get the level 2 first, and he's going to push that advantage for himself. As Militant
whoa.
blinks back in with the exhaust, sees an opportunity for a fight, but you do not win this one, my friend. Flash away. Boomer to Walrus going to flash after him. It's Beans getting some good damage in there off the Glitter Lance, but it's just not going to be enough to make that a winning trade. Militant goes down both his summoner spells.
Yeah, as Slayer once famously told me, "Don't E in," but now there might be actually a repercussion for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Here comes Evil Lobster flashing on in, going to throw down. It's like a little
Oh.
hut, I guess. First blood for its Beans. Is Fox gonna be a chase down as well? This is gonna be a double kill for the Miami bot lane.
Yeah, you know what it is? It's a campsite because Evil Lobster is setting up his tent. He is ready to camp this bot side, and he's starting it off with 2 assists, making sure that the Ezreal was able to get one of them, and just a fantastic job of knowing, hey, Boomer the Walrus doesn't have Flash. This is a Lucian who has been playing incredibly aggressive and doesn't have Flash, and the tent comes up, and the white flag yet to be raised, but man, really good start from Miami, and that might be the first of the last.
Yeah, Kaipo and Peewee trading here. Peewee a level down, but still finding an excellent angle there, getting a couple of rotations on across, and really making a Kaipo feel the pain, as he will be ticking over to this level 4 here pretty soon. And I stole Christmas, you know, he says, hey, Evil Lobster, if you're going to spend all that time bot lane, I'm going to grab myself this Scuttle Crab.
Just a weak side Willie trying to get what he can across the map. I respect it. You know, if you're not gonna help me in my lane, I might as well help myself out a little bit. Pee-wee not able to stop the recall, but pretty even in the mid lane so far. We've seen this one before. The Syndra into. Ooh.
Oh, Poggle about to face check right into Evil Lobster. He's going to be able to chase him down. The
Oh.
flash comes through before the pillar. That's a disaster there for Poggle. He's going to end up going down. Another kill, this time on the top side. Great start for the Jacks.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that flash was meant to go. If it was a flash for distance, when you've got that, when you're against a Trundle, he's always going to be able to catch up to you and make your life difficult with the pillar. And if it was a flash over the wall, then it was just solely a failed flash. But whatever it was, Paul ends up dying for this. And right now, Evil Lobster is just playing impeccable. Just every gank he's had has been successful. All the while, is losing some CS, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, Evil Lobster back up here, chasing down onto Poggle. Where's the hut? Where is it? There it is. Poggle going to be able to dash through it this time, so does get himself away. The eyes blinking there. That's a fun little skin.
It's a pretty cool skin. Yeah,
It's
I was
fun.
about to say.
The thought entered my brain a couple of minutes ago that it's an outhouse, and now I just can't stop giggling to myself.
That
But
is pretty funny.
it's a great skin though. I'm very impressed. Well done on the Halloween skins this year, Riot. Although maybe slightly less well done by Militant there, who gets caught by the bubble and loses quite a bit of HP. As now it's a 2v2 in the top river. Peewee gets the damage on across. There's going to be that outhouse, and there's going to be Peewee picking up the kill. 1 kill in every lane for everybody but the jungler. Evil Lobster, he is every laner's best friend.
Yeah, I think it is an outhouse. I think you're right. And you want to know why? Because just like a dog, he pees exactly where he wants to be. And he's been peeing everywhere on the map. And he owns everything. This Trundle has just made this map his absolute friend. Four assists right now. Yeah, he's down 20 CS, but you do not care if you're the Trundle. You've got in your team a 2,000, about 1,500 gold lead. Just doing a fantastic job knowing how strong this champion is early and making it matter. And everyone on the team is a kill richer. I mean, you're not even taking the kills on the Trundle. You're making sure everyone on your team is benefiting.
Yeah, no, this is what your solo queue teammates think the jungler is supposed to be. You visit every lane equally, you get every single one a kill, no ganks ever fail, and
Clearing
you
wards
know,
too.
if you go down in CS in the jungle, it doesn't matter. But great plays all around from Evil Lobster, doing a great job to set up his team. He's gonna get out farmed by the Hecarim, but that was probably always gonna happen one way or the other, and he's definitely gonna be happy with how the trade-offs have worked out.
Yeah, and I think quietly, I mentioned it, he's clearing wards. There's absolutely no vision. I mean, I don't see a single ward across the map for the side of 1Life2Play.
Oh, and meanwhile, breaking out the fight in the bottom lane again. Militant shifts forward again, but this time he's successful for it. The Ignite is ticking down, and no shield is going to be available, so it will be a 1-for-1. Poggle, you're coming back, buddy. Your soul's going to be rebound at one point or another, but he will be able to escape with one more nice dash. But it's Beans will be able to pick up the kill up against Fox. Fox had nowhere left to go after Pee-wee paid him a visit off the back of the Realm Warp.
Yeah, you throw Pee-wee on a champion that has the ability to push in. I think Spizzyvert has to help out here. They're looking for a dive. Now they see Spizzyvert.
Yeah, now Evil Lobster going to be able to brawl out with him. We talked about how effective that Chomp is up against the Hecarim. When your melee range with the Trundle does not feel good. And now Poggle getting locked down once again. Soul will be rebounded. I Stole Christmas will pick up the kill. Evil Lobster going to lose his life to the turret on the backside. And now Spizzy and I Stole Christmas brawling it out here. The Jax almost has the damage, but not quite there yet. Definitely not up against Onslaught of Shadows. Spizzyvert going to be able to pick up that kill. It's a 2-for-1 trade in favor 1Life2Play.
Yeah, and finally, Spizzyvert gets out on the map. It feels like he had just been getting out-ganked the entire game, but finally he's able to do something and get one back, and that's a pretty big shutdown that he's able to get back as well, so you feel pretty good if you're on the Hecarim. You are up about 400 gold onto this Trundle, but then you look across the map and you look at the leads that this Trundle has created for his laners, and maybe you don't feel as good, so I think you need this Hecarim to get out a bit more, especially now that he has the ultimate. Evil Lobster, I think the ultimate is a lot stronger on Spizzyvert, and so Spizzyvert, expect to see this Hecarim in a lot more fights.
Yeah, and you know, you look at the gold here. You know, assist gold's nothing to laugh at there. Evil Lobster, he's only down like 300 gold. He's on a cloth armor to Spizzyvert. That's really not that big a deal, all things considered. So while he does look like he's well behind in CS, and maybe is a little bit more behind in XP, the gold, it's really not showing that big of a difference. And he's going to be able to brawl it out with this Hecarim when push comes to shove.
Yeah, and I think even more importantly than gold, you look at someone and how they play a champion, and I think Evil Lobster is showing that he feels more than comfortable enough on this Trundle. It feels like at every fight he's saving the pillar until the very last minute, which is exactly what you want to do. You never want to use that pillar too early because they can just flash over it. It's almost the threat of the pillar that's more dangerous than the pillar itself, and he's just using it so effectively. So the fact that we're seeing that, this is a guy who feels so comfortable on the champion is just so nerve wracking for the side of 1Life2Play.
Yeah, lockdown coming through onto Poggle. Here comes Evil Lobster looking to take out that Yone. He is going to be able to ult away. He's getting subjugated at the same time. Now the Barrel breaking out in the bottom lane. That's a nice wild growth onto Militant, but it's not quite enough. 1-for-1 trade, but the kill does go over to Boomer to Walrus, and now Fox looking to chase down its Beans and will end up probably on the winning side, but the shield makes a big difference there. Pix coming in with the assistance. He's like a little blowfish on that skin, and he's getting some nice damage on a cross, but Spizzyvert going in for the dive. Will the polymorph come across? It doesn't look like it was available, and Spizzyvert will get himself his second kill of the game.
Yeah, but in the top side, Poggle had to leave, and that's a ton of plates over for I Stole Christmas. But I mean, I don't want. He did get the gold for it.
He did, but
yeah.
the CS gap at the top lane. We've been talking about the CS gap.
Oh,
in the jungle.
I didn't even see that. I did not see that. Yeah, that's
big.
that's big. That is indeed big. That is a 60 CS gap at wow, at 10 minutes. That is brutal. I did want to give 1Life2Play credit for that bot side. I think Boomer to Walrus has had a good series quietly, and I don't think it's gone very well known because he's had issues across going into these carries who can just get on top of him. And I think that shows, being able to get in on top of the Ezreal with the culling. Normally never see that, but Pewee actually is in a lot of trouble.
He's got Evil Lobster there for the backup, but the Scat of the Week is going to land. Here comes Beans. He doesn't have access to the ultimate yet, though, and Evil Lobster just gets destroyed by the unleashed power. A couple of ultimates come across, and we'll be able to pick up that kill. But now the kite back, Pee-wee, close to being able to take out Spizzy, but over the wall comes Boomer to Walrus, and they can't even close out on the Hecarim. Boomer to Walrus the surprise attack. Meanwhile, True Shot Barrage lands from the bot lane. Militant picks up that kill. Poggle gets solo killed in the top lane while we're focused on the bottom side action. And all in all, it ends up being a 2 for 2 across the map.
Yeah, this game has turned from what looked like a Miami just masterclass to a pretty messy game. Both teams just duking it out, looking for that coveted game 3 win. As we go to a quick replay into the top side, Poggle trying to dash away. I Stole Christmas doesn't get the stun off. There's the dash from Poggle. I don't believe he doesn't have ultimate, so he has to be careful. Man, that's a lot of damage. I Stole Christmas just knowing his limits. But yeah, this is an absolutely massive Jax at this point, and now we go to the bot side.
Yeah, Militant tanking quite a bit of damage there, but Evil Lobster, he throws down the subjugate. He's willing to fight this one out. Gets hit by the bubble, though, and Boomer the Walrus finds his opportunity. Militant blinks forward once again, and more often than not now, it's 2 to 1. He's making it happen. He's getting successful off of the Essence Shift forward, breaking all the rules on this Ezreal. Now 4-2 and 2.
These fights are so chaotic. It looks like it can go either way. Right there, it looks like if Boomer the Walrus had vision, he would have been able to kill the Ezreal, but the arcane shift into the bush made it so I don't believe he had the ability to get the auto attack there, and just able to get the kill on onto the Lucian. So these fights are getting so close. I mean, again, it looked so one-sided for Miami, and 1Life2Play is just scrapping this one out. Still down about 1,000 gold, but the fact that they haven't been losing in gold, I mean, they were down about almost 2,000, 1,500 to 2,000, and it really hasn't ballooned is very impressive, especially when there's an early game lead.
Yeah, for sure, but that Jax is just going to be a huge problem. Kaipo sees an angle onto Evil Lobster, flashes forward, goes for the unleashed power. Evil Lobster gonna slow him down just a little bit more off the back of the pillar. Pee-wee will be able to keep farming it out, you know? He says, oh, that's unfortunate for you, buddy. Go back to your jungle. I'm gonna just keep farming up these minions.
Yeah, you know who it really is unfortunate for is Poggle here, just trying to clear waves, get everything he can, but man, that CS gap is just ballooning by the minute. I mean, it's not getting anywhere close. They have to drop Rift Herald in the bot side instead of the top side, but this is going to help them out. It's going to split the gold. Usually you would want to get it in the bot side. Wow. Usually you would want to get it in the top side to get that first tower, but I think they feel comfortable just dropping it in the bot side. You're not going to get a tower from it, but you're going to get some gold in Militant.
Yeah, you absolutely will. And that top lane turret, it's going to fall Rift Herald or no Rift Herald. But here comes the engage. It's a 4 versus 3. Beans is already at no HP. So is Lobster. Pee-wee arrives, but it's already a 4 versus 2. He's going to have to back out away. He gets hit by the bubble, and now here comes the dive in off the back of that onslaught of shadows. Oh. Kaipo going to be able to pick up that kill. Boomer the Walrus will get traded back on Militant, threading the needle, getting all the skill shots he needs. He's going forward onto Fox. He says, hey, you guys are all disengaged, and you've forgotten about the one carry that matters. 1Life2Play, getting himself 2 kills here, but will eventually get taken down. And I just realized we are mixed up on the scoreboard up there.
We are mixed up on the scoreboard right there. That is correct. That is a very good point. It's actually not 1Life2Play who's dominating this game, but that's okay. Miami's there we go. Thank you, producers. Miami is actually the team that's up ahead. I think we had been saying it correctly. I hope we had.
I'm pretty sure we did for the most part, but I glanced up there for my call. And I was like, wait a second, that doesn't. 1Life2Play doesn't have Militant on it. That doesn't make any sense. Great play by Militant there, though. He gets himself 2 kills back, turns nothing into something. And we'll end up with keeping the gold lead in favor of Miami, but still not quite enough to blow this game wide open yet.
Yeah, and this is a very aggressive Ezreal that he's playing, very Gumayushi-like in that sense, as Fox is gonna just dodge out on that Everfrost. Very Gumayushi-like, just playing at the edge of the knife's edge, just has to like fight and E in, and it's unbelievable the way he's able to play those fights. He gets 2 right there at the back end of it, almost able to kill the Hecarim there, but we might have a fight here.
All right, Evil Lobster coming in here. He's really the only member available. The solo laners are coming down, but they're a little bit late to the party. True Shot Barrage gets some good damage on the 4 remaining, but they will be able to pick up that dragon, and now they just want to get themselves out of dodge. Taking a fair bit of damage from the arcane shot. Now Fox throwing down the bubbles, just trying to speed up his allies and making sure they can get away. Pee-wee is here on the flank, does have access to that Everfrost. He doesn't get the snare. It really looked like it should have landed there, but he doesn't find it. Dodges forward, great play around the bubble, culling over the wall from Boomer to Walrus, getting some good damage on across. The push from I Stole Christmas is really what you got to be paying attention to. A Kaipo now on the flank, goes forward, throws down the unleashed power. Can he take them down in this 1 versus 3? Evil Lobster stays alive through the shielding. Poggle diving over, looking to get himself some gold back. He will be be able to pick up his first kill of the game, but now I Stole Christmas is massive on this Jax and is looking to keep the fight going. Fox, cut off from the rest of the team, gets jumped onto and gets taken out by Militant, and now Pee-wee getting dived onto by Boomer to Walrus, who will be able to execute down that kill. Now in a 2 versus 3, I Stole Christmas and Militant facing off against the rest. Freeze frame as Boomer to Walrus drops down.
Ooh.
I Stole Christmas continuing to just rampage through everybody with the empowered auto attacks and flashes in to finish off one more. A double kill comes through for the Miami top laner, and an ace is claimed for the blue team.
I Stole Christmas, just showing what he can do. You said the first game wasn't a fluke. I'm more than an Aatrox player. His Jax can do it too. An unbelievable talent. He's up almost 100 CS, up 90 CS right now, 5-1-2, and just single-handedly changing the fight right there alongside Militant. And that is their team comp. That is their win condition. This Rise is just perfectly content with trying to make sure that the Jax and the Ezreal can get the damage across, and man, the damage they can do is unbelievable. That team fight basically solely won by I Stole Christmas hopping on top of carries along with Militant poking and doing damage behind them.
And Akaipo is still looking so good on this Syndra. If he had like 10 more AP, I think he gets himself a double kill in that 1 versus 3 scenario. But now fight breaking out once again. Fox has nowhere left to go, getting chomped down by Evil Lobster. One more auto will do it, and Militant picks it up. Now I Stole Christmas fighting in the 1 versus 2, looking for the double stun, gets down on a Poggle, and now looking for Spizzy. But now here comes that Syndra. Kaipo gets the big shutdown on himself. He knows it's going to be all on him to carry this game, and he wants every bit of gold he can get for himself.
Yeah, I think you talked about it perfectly. Akaipo is just that guy on Syndra. Plays everything so well. It hasn't felt like he's been mispositioned or out of a fight in any of these 3 games. And just getting that shutdown onto such a viable carry feels so good if you're the side of 1Life2Play. And I mean, Akaipo might have to do it all here. It doesn't feel like anyone else is really in the game. Topside is completely done. It's so difficult for this Yone to get back into the game. I don't see a way where he feels like he can do anything in the side lane. And so you really need Akaipo to do that damage. And Boomer to Walrus, I mean, you can do something on this Lucian, but man, Militant does a lot of damage.
Yeah, great damage there out of Militant. Doesn't land the Arcane Barrage, or the True Shot Barrage, rather, but will be able to get some solid damage. Now Akaipo going to be forced to flash over the wall, a little bit out of position. Pee-wee looking for the snare, the slow from the Trundle. Akaipo up too far. Will he end up dropping? Dodges out on one more overload from Rise, and that's all it takes to stay alive, as Beans is going to drop down from the dive into the back line from Spizzy Vert. He gets himself 2 kills there. I Stole Christmas, though, has arrived, and Pee-wee is realm warping into the action. Boomer to Walrus dives under the turret to clean up that kill up against Militant, but he will lose his life for the effort. It's a 2 versus 3, but the health bars are in favor of Miami. They want to keep this siege going. They've got the siege mini to be able to do it. They claim themselves the mid lane turret that they came here for, and maybe, just maybe, they can get themselves a little bit more. Looking to interrupt recalls and successfully doing so. Big stun off of Kaipo. Pee-wee gets one shot by the 3-man squad of 1Life2Play, and they take another enemy off the map.
Yeah, a bit of a communication error right there alongside I Stole Christmas, trying to stop the recalls, maybe so I Stole Christmas could hop in and just bonk them all in the head. The health bars were so low, but I Stole Christmas was over by Raptors, didn't know that that's what he wanted to do, and all it means is that Pee-wee's going to fall. Pee-wee, maybe a bit more of a forgettable game for him, 1-4-5 on the Rise this game, just compared to last game, but man, I Stole Christmas is so incredibly strong on this Jax. It's just a force to be reckoned with, and Militant has done a fantastic job again of soaking a lot of the damage and a lot of the pressure that this Ezreal just warrants.
Sure here. Militant has gotten so many kills funneled into him, is actually so strong in these fights, but Evil Lobster getting locked down, getting caught out, will possibly go down here. The Lulu ultimate will keep him alive for just a little bit longer, but he will end up dropping anyway, and that's going to be a numbers advantage for 1Life2Play. They can get themselves at a soul point here. Pee-wee takes a huge chunk of damage from the Scatter the Weak, manages to return as much as possible, and Militant is looking to carry this fight. He gets himself 2 kills, while I Stole Christmas is actually going to be the one to pick up onto the other, and now just charging forward on this Jax, has the ultimate when necessary to get himself a huge boost to armor and MR, and he just takes out 2 more members. It's a 3 versus 2 on the map. Poggle is still in the top lane, had no angle to TP2 in that fight, and I Stole Christmas is looking to get Miami their first dragon of the game.
I Stole Christmas is looking to do a little bit better than that. I Stole Christmas is trying to get them this series win. He's playing like this is the NBA Finals Game 7. He feels like this is the finals of the Divine League. Just wants to win it all right now. He's tired of playing League of Legends. He wants to go home and call it a night. And he's playing like it, playing so incredibly well on this Jax. Again, it just feels like in every single fight, you don't notice him until he's killed half your team. It feels like they're focusing onto Militant. They're trying to get Pee-wee. Maybe it's Beans. Right there, it was Evil Lobster before the fight had even started. And then you look up and there's a Jax just bonking you over the head. So really great from I Stole Christmas and the rest of the team. And these fights are just kind of crazy. I mean, there's almost 50 kills and we're not even at 22 minutes yet.
Oh, actually, Evil Lobster getting himself caught here. Finds himself face-to-face with Spizzy Vert. He does have its beans there for the backup once again, but he gets knocked back into the team. The damage trade from Evil Lobster here actually pretty substantial. He's got the lethal tempo stacked up, and he's going to take out the opposing jungler. Now looking to punish Poggle as soon as he gets in. He's so behind on this. Yone can't quite get the damage on across, and I Stole Christmas is arrived to the party. He is just channeling that Counter-Strike. Poggle dives into the back line to finish off the kill on Evil Lobster, but I Stole Christmas has the ultimate channeled, was soaking up the culling earlier, and is now looking to just continue to dominate this fight. Leap strike forward. Boomer to Walrus gets some great angles for some great damage, but the stuns and the damage is just too high for Miami. They've built themselves up a lead over the course of 22 minutes, and they are going to ram it right down the face of 1Life2Play. Ace picked up as Militant finds one more shot onto a Kaipo. The carry's down for 1Life2Play, and Miami are going to look to break open the base.
This Ezreal on Militant is so clean. He's played these fights so well. Meanwhile, I Stole Christmas just able to get those kills, chase them all down. It felt like a Kaipo, Boomer to Walrus, and Fox were actually playing the disengage very well. Look at Militant. Wow. Just playing so strong, throwing up the emote. But yeah, no, I think that I Stole Christmas was getting he was getting pushed away incredibly well by a Kaipo, Boomer to Walrus, and Fox, but the wallets are just way too big for Miami at this point. The gold lead ballooned up to 6,000, and even with the disengage that 1Life2Play was showing, it just wasn't nearly enough. And again, I Stole Christmas, I talked about it earlier. You don't notice him until you notice him, and they notice him just a little bit too late.
For sure here, and now with so many turrets claimed, with all of that gold stacked inside of them, they have got themselves a solid 6k gold lead. Stopped the dragon stacking successfully as well. Miami are fully in the driver's seat. Pee-wee gets caught by a Kaipo, loses half of his HP. You got to be aware of all the damage that Syndra represents, but not quite going to be able to finish it off this time. Evil Lobster maybe finding Spizzy, but looks like they are going to back away from one another.
Yeah, neither of them want to do something, but oh, leave Poggle alone.
Yeah, no, he is going to go into the Soul Unbound, and he is going to get rebound pretty quickly here. Poggle is going to be able to not escape. He's going to drop down. It's going to be more money and more kills in the pocket of Miami.
Ooh, but I do like what 1Life2Play is doing here. They need to be careful. Look at the top river right now. They need to worry about this rotation.
Blink forward, flashback from Militant as a Kaipo is on the flank, but just doesn't have the damage to finish him off. Militant will eventually drop down to Spizzy, but it's a 1-for-1 trade underneath his turret. And now as the members of the top side are coming down, do they want to collapse here? Nah, they're just going to ping their way up towards the Baron, and they're going to say, hey, a Kaipo's at no HP, Spizzy's dead, Fox has no HP, Boomer to Walrus isn't going to come up here and fight us 1 versus 3 for the Baron. Let's take this.
Boomer to Walrus, it's a 1-on-4 actually. I thought it was a 1-on-3 as well. He does have the culling. That is the only thing that could possibly get them this Baron, but he doesn't even want to try to do it. Pee-wee realm warping out to the mid lane to try to possibly stop him from pushing waves as well. Again, the cross map just so strong from Miami. Have just done a fantastic job of making it feel like such a small, tight, claustrophobic map for 1Life2Play.
Absolutely. Evil Lobster. Good call to go for the Baron there. You know,
no.
Oh, I Stole Christmas finds a Kaipo, and this is not a fair fight.
Oh,
That's a really unfair fight. He just takes him out before any spells can even be cast. And there was no ultimate available for Syndra. I Stole Christmas getting himself a solo.
Yeah, this Jax is just untouchable, and this is really what you want out of a Jax as well. I mean, we talk about, I feel like I've said it a million times at this point, they're a split pushing comp, they've done it in every single game, but this is just how you split push to the max, right? How do you stop this Jax from taking everything? You throw Kaipo up there, yeah, he just kills the Kaipo. You throw Poggle up there, sure, Poggle's down about 100 CS to him, doesn't matter. So how do you stop this Jax? It really feels like you have to force them to dragons, and they don't care about dragons. They're, you know, they stop the dragon stacking like you talked about. They're not worried about that.
Yeah, there's the engage opportunity. Poggle looking for an angle onto Militant, and pretty much found it there. Spizzy's going to be able to finish off that kill. Are they going to TP in their Jax? They are. They're going to try to take this fight 4 versus 5 over the potential Soul Point Dragon. They do not have access to Militant. He actually has so much of their gold in his pocket, but they feel like they can take this fight anyway. Akaipo sectioned off from the fight, brawling it out with Pee-wee. Now the fight's going to break out into 3 versus 4. Shutdown picked up for Akaipo, and has Miami bitten off more they can chew. The only one left alive is I Stole Christmas, and he's going to get taken down here. Channeling the Counter-Strike will be able to pick up 1 kill, but that's 1 for 5. Ace picked up for 1Life2Play, and they're still alive in this series.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that decision. I just talked about how the split pushing was so good. You sack the dragon. It's at 3. It's at Soul Point, sure, but look at the wave in top lane. No one was going to stop Jax from pushing it, and so I imagine you get at least an inhib turret, or you pull a member there. Instead, they lose Militant because he's too far pushed up, and then they decide to take that fight instead of just sacking the dragon. It feels like they thought the gold lead was a lot more, and it could help carry them into something. As we watch this replay again, Pee-wee is in the top side. So this is what happens between Akaipo and Pee-wee. Pee-wee is trying to run, I imagine, towards the mid lane or something of that sort. Doesn't know that Akaipo is there. Akaipo just destroys him. And then you look at this team fight, Boomer to Walrus and everyone. Again, it's just a numbers disadvantage. Sure, you might have the gold on I Stole Christmas, and yeah, he gets a kill back. He's incredibly strong. But Jax is a one-on-one champion. He's not a team fighter. I'm just very surprised they elected into that fight.
And that was 1,000 gold on the Spizzy Vert. He is massive now with that extra gold he was able to pick up in the team fight. I think he ended up with a kill on a Militant as well, so multiple big shutdowns going into the horse. And he's got 3 items done now. He's well ahead of Evil Lobster, who, for all he did in the early game, has not really been able to keep up his own gold generation. He's about to get Flame Horizoned the same way that the opposing top laner is, and he's fallen well behind in items.
Yeah, and I think Spizzyvert as well is maybe the worst possible scenario for Militant. If you're Militant, you've acquired yourself a very good gold lead, but when you've got a horsey charging at you, you only have 1 E. You don't even have exhaust either, so it can be so difficult. Now Militant has to be careful.
Yeah, getting dived onto with the culling. Poggle going for the play, but not going to be able to find it with the Fate Sealed. But the lockdown on Evil Lobster, very substantial there in Militant. Nowhere left to go. He's about to drop down. It's Beans, can't carry this fight on his own. 3 kills for 0 for 1Life2Play. And Miami, once again, finds themselves caught in a numbers disadvantage, too far up, and give up 3 kills.
Yeah, and they're going to lose turrets for this as well. This is awful. They're going to lose the mid turret. Luckily, Pee-wee was actually, I was confused what he was doing. He's just clearing that wave out so they can't take much more. But now I Stole Christmas has to be so careful.
Yeah, absolutely. He's in a 1 versus 2 here. Gonna throw down the ward, going to try to escape. Actually going to try to challenge them in this fight. Dives in, Akaipo forced to flash there. And now I Stole Christmas. He's gonna say, hey, you know what? That's a victory for me. I got more than I should have. Pee-wee, though, gets hit by the bubble, challenging in a 1 versus 3, and likely going to lose that challenge. Taken down by Boomer to Walrus. And that's 50 seconds desynced from the rest of his team.
Miami are making so many blunders here. They're fighting when they just shouldn't be. I feel like I Stole Christmas is the only one who can take those 1-on-2 or 1-on-3 fights, and he tried. It didn't end up working out, but, you know, he's able to do that. I am 100% not sure what Pee-wee is doing there. Just knows that his entire team is dead and knew where they were just previously. Pushed up just way too far right there. He's going to lose his life for it. This game is completely flipped over. It was a 6,000 gold lead. It is now a 2,500 gold lead, and the scaling, I think it favors 1Life2Play. You've got a Kaipo on this Syndra, and we've got another fight possibly.
Yeah, Spizzy looking for this engage, blew everything there. Has got access to that ghost, is looking for the big angle with that Onslaught of Shadows, but just doesn't find it there. That summoner's going to be down for a little while. That's a teleport being channeled by Pee-wee. Let's see if Miami can shore up their play here to try to close out this series. If they want to actually take it home and not have to play a game 4, they are going to have to do exactly that here. They're going to have to get it together for one of these upcoming team fights. It's going to be Soul Point for 1Life2Play in 2 minutes.
Yeah, and they would love Soul here. Soul would be so good against the poke of this Ezreal and against the burst of, or against the just the absolute damage that this Jax does. They love it.
certainly would here, as it looks like they're threatening in the mid lane. Good damage from Militant. The stun would be massive, but not going to come through. Just gets slammed by the sphere there. Thought it was going to be a scatter of the week, but not quite this time. So they are just looking to pour in the damage before this Baron can spawn. I Stole Christmas splitting on the bot side. There's the Fate Sealed. Poggle is looking to take a fight there because he's got Spizzy Vert over the wall. Now I Stole Christmas. They see him. They know exactly where the rest of the team is. That's going to be the Realm Warp. The rest of the team is coming to his aid. And that's just going to be a disengage for 1Life2Play. An important tool down now for Miami. Fox forced to flash.
Yeah, a good flash right there. Just a respectful flash, knowing that if he doesn't flash, he possibly could die. And you know that with the dragon up in 50 seconds, it can be so difficult. So I think it's good. I gotta say, I'm not sure if they win that fight with Spizzy Vert and Boomer the Walrus just solely against I Stole Christmas.
Spizzy.
Oh.
Spotted by the scanner. They see the Hecarim. They know where he is. They're going to knock him back in. He doesn't have anywhere to go. He gets pinned between the wall and the pillar. Big shutdown for Pee-wee. Jungler down means this is going to be Baron, and Miami, with a crucial pick, find their way back into the game.
Just not showing respect right there.
Oh, I Stole Christmas takes a Kaipo in the one-on-one, and it's all crumbling down for 1Life2Play. The teleport in, I Stole Christmas in a 1 versus 3. Culling being channeled, gets the pop on the Sterix, looking to fight it out for as long as he can, trying to trade on the Fox. Fox is going to lose a huge chunk of his HP, but that shutdown is going to be in trade for a Baron, and Spizzy is still going to be down for this Dragon attempt. They will not get the Dragon Soul here unless they can find a way to win the fight. Pee-wee waiting around in the corner. Boomer to Walrus getting a nice job kiting up against Evil Lobster. If he can take him out, he can 50-50 for the Dragon, but the lockdown is there from Pee-wee, and Pee-wee picks up that big shutdown, now chasing on the Fox. He's looking to make it even more, and Fox, with nowhere left to go, is just going to be running towards the wrong side of the map as Pee-wee looks to finish him off. Miami comes back alive at 32 minutes and are back to being 6K gold in the lead.
The same thing that the same blunder that Miami had done earlier, just taking fights with numbers disadvantage. It was a 3-on-3 across the map. Ooh, I might have to stop though. Pee-wee just
Pee-wee goes down again. And just like that, 1Life2Play, they might have their angle. Militant getting engaged on as well, just gets destroyed. Spizzy Vert just killed both carries.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. I don't know what's going on anymore. I'm completely lost. It feels like everybody is just taking these fights that it doesn't feel like they need to be taking. Militant along with Pee-wee both caught out. Now it's going to be a 3-on-5 across the map for quite a while. Once Fox get back up for at least 30 seconds, or 20 seconds, excuse me. I'm not sure if there's anything they can do with that though. The Baron's not up, the Dragon's not up. They can fight for some more map control, but what they can do is negate the Baron buff. I mean, this Baron buff has done absolutely nothing for Miami so far, and this game just completely continues to scale up. And I think the longer it scales, I think 1Life2Play feel pretty comfortable with that because Poggle, that guy that is down about 140 CS, he'll get back into the game. He quietly is right now. He's still very far behind this Jax, but you look at the damage that he's able to put onto the carries and the squishies, and it's starting to scale up.
Yeah, and Jax isn't getting any stronger. I Stole Christmas. He's at full build. He's been at full build for a while. He's got 1,100 gold in the bank, and it's just sitting there gathering interest. But that's not going to do anything to help him win the game. They've peaked. They're as strong as they're going to get on the side of Miami, and they have really missed some of their strongest windows to close this out. Militant now getting caught out, will not be finished off, but there's the dive in from Spizzy Vert, and he will be able to make this into a 5 versus 4. Teleport in now from Pee-wee to try to protect the rest of his team as they attempt to escape, and here's the split push from I Stole Christmas. He will at the absolute minimum pick up this inhibitor, and what else can he get if these recalls get interrupted? They're looking to continue the siege. They see 4 members there. Poggle cannot challenge I Stole Christmas in the one-on-one. If they can stop these recalls, I Stole Christmas could end the game. Flash in from a Kaipo, but Pee-wee goes into the stasis just in time, and now a Kaipo getting chased down by Evil Lobster. Evil Lobster will
that kill, and they can't get the recalls done in time. Boomer to Walrus, he does complete the channel. He will be here to protect his Nexus, but 2 versus 1, can they stop I Stole Christmas? I Stole Christmas has finished off the other Nexus turret. He's taking off Poggle. He's jumping in onto Boomer to Walrus. He takes him out as well. Fox cannot deal the damage to stop this Jax. I Stole Christmas, 1 versus 3, takes down the enemy Nexus and takes Miami to the semifinals.
Stole Christmas against the world, just taking the entire base by himself, able to win that game with the Guardian Angel and 1 wave. It's all he needs. Man, what an absolute monster. He plays Jax too, by the way, in case you didn't know, and he single-handedly snatches the victory from the claws of victory. It felt like Miami were dead set on losing that for some of their plays, but at the end of the day, I Stole Christmas said, you know what, I've had enough, and wins them the game.
I stole Nexus, baby. He's got it. Book it. Put it in Twitch chat. That's his nickname coming into the semifinals. Huge move there. Incredible series there from the Miami top laner. Should feel very good about his performance there tonight. Maybe getting a little fast and loose with it in Game 3 across the board for Miami, but all in all, they do take this as a 3-0 victory.
Yeah, it felt like Miami had such a dominant, strong grip on the game, and they slowly started to leak it back into 1Life2Play's faucet. But at the end of the day, all that matters is that the Nexus falls before, or their Nexus falls before yours does, and this is how it ended up happening. I Stole Christmas was spotted on a ward, so they have full vision that he's doing this, and none of them decide to back. They don't want to fight this. They feel like they have the team fight in the middle, so they're not worried about this. They say, you know what? How much can he really get? Finally, the Yone starts to back, but I think both of us are very aware that I don't think there's anything that Poggle can do, and so Poggle tries to go in here, has to flash immediately, just gets completely destroyed, and this whole time, again, I Stole Christmas has Guardian Angel. So worst case scenario, he dies and he comes back with a bunch of health. So Poggle not able to clear the wave, and then I Stole Christmas. Even when Boomer to Walrus came back, it really felt like he could take that 1v2 all game. And right here he shows it. Goes in onto Poggle. Poggle has to dash back away, just gets bonked on top of the head. Just a really good job getting onto Boomer to Walrus as well. I Stole Christmas. Man, what a game from him.
Yeah, just bashing away on that Nexus. Fox can't stop him. You know, you would think when that Lucian was able to complete his recall that he would be able to stop the advance, but just doesn't happen that way. He gets engaged on, he can't get back to the fountain in time to stay alive, and a fantastic backdoor from I Stole Christmas. Some credit to the rest of the team as well for stopping the recalls, knowing that even in a 3 versus 4, it is worth it for them to step up, for Pee-wee to move up, to bait a Kaipo from stepping too far forward, going for the execute, stopping anybody from being able to complete their recalls until it is well too late. If Boomer to Walrus recalls earlier while the Nexus turrets are still alive, if Fox is able to join him right away, if a Kaipo is part of that recall, then none of this play is possible, and maybe we're still dancing around here to this very minute.
Yeah, I Stole Christmas having his Pee-wee on Silas style of game, just 17-4-5 as his final scoreline, and ended up with 21,000 gold. No one else in the game had 19,000. No one else in the game had more than 18,200. So just an absolutely dominating performance from this Jax. And I mean, I feel like I've said it every game. Whenever there's a dominating performance, you know, I Stole Christmas on Aatrox or Pee-wee on Silas, you really also have to give credit for the rest of his team. I feel like, you know, the Trundle, Evil Lobster really got him into that position early in the game. Militant's Ezreal did the most damage in the game with 42,000. So it was a team victory. It's just, you know, just like in baseball, when you need a closer, I guess that's I Stole Christmas.
Yeah, we didn't talk about it in the chat at all, Bonfire, but I don't think we need to. I think Player of the Series does go to I Stole Christmas tonight. Yeah. A fantastic trio of games there from him. He steals Christmas, he steals Thanksgiving, he steals Halloween. He takes every little holiday into his bag there, and he is going to be our Player of the Series this evening.
Yeah, I think his Camille game wasn't his best that we've seen out of him. But yeah, no, Aatrox and Jax, just unbelievable games. I almost wish that there was like 2 players of the game, because I feel like Pee-wee had a really good series as well. I think his Rise went very under the radar, and then his Silas was absolutely monstrous. But at the end of the day, there's only one player of the series, and I think we both agree. I Stole Christmas just all across the board, played dominant top lane, and just, I mean, Hoggle's gonna have nightmares of this guy. He just absolutely dominated him in the laning phase.
Yeah, and to be honest, you know, he could have done better in the game too, but the game two was over in 22 minutes. You know,
This
he
is
didn't
true.
really have time to scale up and make things happen on the Camille. Game ended while he had boots 1 and 2 items. You know, that's not where Camille's at her best. You know, you needed to give it a little bit more time, and they didn't need that much more time because Pee-wee had a absolutely killer game number 2 and a killer series as well. But you know, 2 Rise games. That means I Stole Christmas gets the player of the series. That's just how the chips fall, my dude. Maybe next week.
Yeah, it also means we were both wrong. 1Life2Play. We would, you know, this is where we eulogize you guys. Thank you so much for joining the Divine League. You had a fantastic season, and you should be very proud of how you played. I think today you look at the 3-0 scoreline and you think, you know, 1Life2Play didn't show up to their monitors, but that couldn't be further from the truth. They had some incredibly close games. They inched everything back. It really felt like Miami had to force the victory rather than it was given. So, I mean, huge respect from 1Life2Play for showing up today. And, you know, although the scoreline doesn't show it, I think you should be very proud of how you played.
Yeah, and you know, we don't want to call too much attention to it during the series, but there are some substitutions there as well, so maybe not getting to play with the roster that they would have liked to have represented with, but those chips fall as they do. And still got to appreciate the effort and the sportsmanship coming out here for tonight's series. Best of luck in future leagues, maybe future Divine Leagues.
Yeah.
You guys are coming back next season. We would be thrilled to see you. But Divine League this split, not over yet. Next week will be the Miami University Redhawks taking on Team Ambition Vikings. It will also be Purdue facing off against the winner of Cupid Esports versus Shining Light Defenders. Not 100% sure which of those series we're going to be streaming yet, but we will be definitely bringing one of those best of 5s right here. Same bat Twitch channel, same bat time, and we will see you guys there. But for now, that's going to do it for the stream. Thank you all for tuning on in, and from myself, Bonfire, and Caddy on production. Have yourselves a great night, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.